We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I'm Sherman Trey White of Podcast Media, and joining me is the man, the myth, the legend. Wanna know how he got those scars? Bandit Incorporated. Do-do-do-do.
What? Trademark. Bandit Incorporated. Yes!
Yes,
it is so
it's
great
mine.
to be here.
Derek Savage.
That's right, fine, brothers. I'm trademarking the word what. You can't take it. But it's great to be here after 2 days of us not being able to do it.
Oh my, this has been a nightmare. This has been a right nightmare. You're telling me, man.
Yeah, I couldn't show up the first day, and then my computer wouldn't start working, and then I almost got punched in the face earlier today. There's been all kinds of drama.
Yeah, hold on. Let's go back. You got punched in the face. Let's explain what happened there.
I didn't get punched in the face. I almost got punched in the face.
Okay. Was it over another movie spoiler or something? Because I know you told that story once.
No. I was out for my daily walk. I'm walking along, minding my own business, and as often happens, a dog comes out and tries to charge at me because I'm out in the country. There's a lot of people who don't bother keeping their gates shut. Dog comes up, charge at me. This one sort of comes at me from the side, out of my peripherals, and I just turn and stomp this dog right in the face.
Oh my god! What kind of dog was it?
It was a tiny little poodle. But
Yeah, it did.
I didn't know. It was just a reflex.
To be fair, it was going to go for your Achilles. It was going to go for your Achilles heel. But that being said, come on.
It came at me from behind, right? And I heard barking, but I had my music on, so it came at me from behind. And just as a reflex, I turned and put my foot up, as like blocking it. But I also kind of like stomped, and I basically stomped this little dog right in the face. And the owner, of course, comes out. He's like, "Hey, did you stomp that dog?" I was like, "Yeah, you came at me."
It's like Mad Max. He's walking out like toe cutter. Oi, you stomped my dog. It's like,
he's like, "Did you stomp that dog?" I was like, "Yeah, but he came at me." He's like, "He's a little dog." I'm like, "But he came at me. I don't know what kind of dog it is when it's coming at me from behind." And he had like his friend with him, and he's like, "Arr!" And he was like clenched fists, and he had his hands up in the fight thing. And I just said, "Dude, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that." And he's like, "Just get out of here." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." And I just kept walking.
It's like, have you seen the movie John Wick with Keanu Reeves? It's a lot. I feel like he just saw John Wick, and like now he's like super. Like if you see the movie John Wick and you have a dog or an animal of some kind, like out of nowhere, you suddenly become super protective of your animal, and like if anyone sneezes at that thing, they're getting a cap in the face. Like I feel like people become super protective of their animal after watching John Wick.
Well, I think tomorrow when I go for my walk, because I walk right past there, I'm going to knock on the door and say, "Sorry about that. If I'd known it was a little dog, I wouldn't have stomped it in the face." But still,
I wouldn't.
If your dog charges people, put it on a leash, because if it's a little dog, there's little kids in the street too. So
I wouldn't do that. That's the last.
That's the way I roll, man. Tiny dog stomping me.
It's time to tell a story about a very large, angry woman yelling at me for doing something I didn't know I was going to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know I said I was going to break up school, but I'm going to break up school again. I am a sophomore in high school. So my daily routine is I'm out in these things called portables. Do you know what a portable is? It's like a separate outdoor classroom. But it's like a smaller building. It's like a trailer park, but it's a classroom.
Yeah, we had them in my school. They bring them out and they just sort of sit them down if they're trying to get extra classrooms. Yeah. Exactly.
And so a lot of the social studies classes are in there. So I have AP World History out in the portables, and then I have Orchestra 6th period, which is anyways, it's a long walk to try to get to orchestra room, and there was already the 2-minute bell. Trying to get to class, I was running. I'm not trying to be late because I already have 7 tardies, and I can't let that happen anymore. They take away my credit. Big story. Anyways, so I see an open door, and I look down the hallway. I'm like, oh, that hallway leads right to the orchestra room. Let me just go through that hallway. It's through the auditorium, and the doors are open, and kids are going through. I said, okay, I'm just gonna walk through, and I walk through. I think maybe 6 steps before I hear, sir, what do you think you're, sir? No, get out of here. You know better than I said. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to class. Sir, don't try that with me. You get out of here, young man. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I said, all right. So I walked out. I went back the way I came. I was dumbfounded because this lady was being so cruel. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was trying to get to class. And so by this point, after that encounter, I'm walking in class. I'm late to class, obviously. And so I'm like, tell you what, come the next passing period to the next class, I'm gonna stop by through the proper entrance, I guess, because this was a side door through the auditorium. So I guess it did look sketchy. Tell you what, maybe I was in the wrong. I'm gonna go and apologize. So, because I'm thinking like I'm a good guy. I'm not a crass. I'm not a prick. I'm gonna go and apologize. Yeah. So I go through the front entrance of the auditorium, and I'm about to apologize. I make it maybe not 6 steps, and I hear, "Oh, don't you try that again, young man. Do you hear me? You get out of here right now. Not again, sir. Get out of here." And I said, you know what? All right. Never mind. I'm like, I yelled out as I was going through. Sorry.
I thought, it's funny you say that, because I thought, next time I walk past there, I'm going to go knock on the door and just say sorry to him. So hopefully it works out a bit better with me.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm like, I wouldn't try it, because when people are mad, if he seemed that temperamental, unless he just watched John Wick or Marley and Me,
stomp his tiny dog in the face. But you know,
yeah.
But in my defense, I didn't know it was a tiny dog. I just saw a dog out the corner of my eye coming at me.
I'm just saying, that woman was very mean, and she's a teacher, so that woman was very angry at me, and I've never forgotten that happened a couple weeks ago. So,
well, you know what you need to do. You seen You, Me, and Dupree? How Jim Carrey gets back at his neighbor?
No, I've never seen that movie. That got mediocre reviews.
Oh, okay. Well, his neighbor trains his dog to like poo in his front yard. So then, when Jim Carrey like has his split personality thing, he goes and like drops his pants and poos in the other guy's yard.
Oh my! Well, I'm not going to.
You should do that, you know, sir, please, no.
I'm not going to.
Don't do that.
I'm going to go and poo in the auditorium. She'll tackle me. Yeah, and drag me by my.
Just be like, oh, that's disgusting.
Because this is like a white Amanda Waller we're talking about, with ginger hair, and she's she's scary. It's like you think, and she teaches theater, so you think, oh, she's going to be nice. She's going to have a commanding presence. No. She's like Cruella de Vil meets Amanda Waller. It's horrifying. It's like,
that is a visceral image in my head. Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, I want some fan art. No, don't do any fan art. You'll get me arrested. No,
that's why I'm not giving fan art of that. Yeah.
Maybe don't give me a name. I can't give names either, because I will get arrested and she'll find me. Come pick it at my door like the Winter Soldier. All right, Banda, that's enough of our day.
Exactly. Should we get into the news?
Yeah, let's get into the movie news.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Okay, so, Bandit. Not a lot of movie news this week. Before we get into kind of a bigger topic that occurred in the realm of what we do as a living, quote-unquote, the Super Bowl was this past weekend, that giant thing with soccer or whatever, even though Nick Mason says that's not a cool thing to say.
Actually, yeah, I just listened to that actually when I was out on my walk kicking dogs in the head. Yeah. Is it Super Bowl or Super Ball?
It's definitely Super Bowl, BOWL. They
don't do bowling. Is it because the arena is like a bowl?
Yeah. It's like it's like a Rose. It's like, you know, there's certain games called like the Rose Bowl, or it's because I think it's shaped like a bowl.
Yeah,
you know, like
Americans,
here,
you have a weird way of naming stuff.
Well, here
like
in
you don't
Texas,
want to call soccer football. It's a ball that you hit with your foot.
I didn't name the stuff, Bandit. I'm just saying. Look,
John Cleese has a routine on that. It's a ball that is struck by the foot. Football, see?
Yes. Well,
Joe Cleese.
Here in Texas, we have this thing called the Alamo Dome, and it's because it's a stadium that has a giant dome over it. IMAX has this thing called the Omni Dome, which is like a 360 dome theater. It's just things that are named that way because of the shape of the building they're in. Bandit.
We have a massive arena called the MCG, which stands for the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Very simple. SCG, same thing, Sydney Cricket Ground.
Yeah. You guys also have
you Americans with all your fancy naming.
And the metric system of all things.
Yeah, it's very simple. 100 centimeters makes 1 meter. It's very simple. Yeah. You know?
No, dude,
if there's a snake is brown, it's called a brown snake. If a snake is green, it's called a green snake. If it's in a tree, it's called a tree snake. We love everything named very simple here.
Explains.
Why are we talking about this? Sorry, we're supposed to.
I have no idea. We're going off on a tangent again. Cut this whole bit out. I'm trying to get to the movie news, and you transition. You somehow got me off of the Super Bowl. I have no idea how you just managed to do that. Trying to be snarky over here. Okay. God, I miss doing this. All right. So we got some Super Bowl trailers. Have you seen most of them?
I have, yeah.
Oh, thank Christ.
I think the only one I haven't seen is the one where apparently Ant-Man steals something from Bruce Banner or something like that. But I've seen all the other ones.
It's just some fun, you know. It's nice to see Ant-Man. It shows that Ant-Man is truly a part of the Avengers world. You know, it's nice cross promotion and whatnot because Hulk's not going to be in Civil War that we know about, even though Bruce Banner was seen on set.
We do see in the trailer that Ant-Man is on Captain America's team.
Yeah,
which should help to even out Vision being on Iron Man's team.
I think
because he can shrink down, go in his ear, shrink up, and
I think maybe he's going to push the Infinity Stone out of his face or something because he's a robot. So he's not going to bleed.
Ant-Man could kill anybody, really.
Absolutely. You shrink down to the size of like an ant and get in someone's nose and grow. You're not going to get hurt because
shrink down, hide under Thanos' pillow when he goes to sleep at night.
Yeah,
crawl in his
or hide
ear,
in that giant
explode
crown
his
of
head
his that he wears, a giant headgear.
Yeah,
crush. Exactly.
Or just go subatomic, jump through his chest, punch him in the heart.
Thank you. Like an episode of Rick and Morty, you know, have him get swallowed and go inside that. Have you seen that episode of Rick and Morty where it's like Anatomy Park?
Oh wait, yes, I have. I saw that.
Anatomy Park, Pirates of Pancreas. It's like, oh man, that's one's really important to me. All right, just a little testy about it. It's wonderful. Oh, okay. But let's work through them. I guess we should
try to get back to the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Why are we going on so many tangents? Just talk about the Super Bowl.
I think it's because we haven't talked in over a week, so we're trying to catch up with each other.
That's right.
What were some of your let's work our way kind of down up, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
So let's start from maybe my least favorite, the Ninja Turtles spotlight. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. It was good. Like the only thought I had after seeing it, I was like, that's good. I'm glad that Krang's in it. But I thought, what a weird reveal for Krang, though. Very anticlimactic. Like, there's been 5 movies and we haven't seen Krang yet. I was like, shouldn't him showing up in the trailer be a big thing?
Well, I just think
would like
that
him to make more of a big deal. He's a giant talking brain.
Yeah. Coming from someone who's not the world's biggest Ninja Turtles fan, I can't maybe necessarily speak for the whole populace, but after the first movie came out, I feel like the love of Ninja Turtles, I don't want to say subsided, it just kind of like, yeah, it's not ours anymore. It's not. I feel like once the hate for the film dissipated, and like I'd say 6 months after the movie was out, people were just like, you know what, it's not our movie anymore. And then that trailer came in, people were like, okay, that looks pretty cool. They got Bebop and Rocksteady. I thought it looked cool because it looked like a fun, stupid cartoon. And I was really down for it. I think Krang looks ridiculous. Not the don't shoot me. Not the classic Krang. The Krang in this movie, I think it looks like a PS2 character. I'm not a fan of the CG, but maybe they'll fix it in post. I don't know. I really don't care either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Also, X-Men. No, I didn't see the Independence Day one, so I can't speak for that. Did you see the Independence Day one?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, let's go to the next one. X-Men.
Didn't see it.
You didn't see the X-Men one?
Nope.
Okay, well, there's a pretty cool shot of
I meant to click on it. I must have forgotten.
Listen, it's probably the best trailer they've had so far.
Oh, really?
So yeah, just in the sense that they pretty much took all the action and, you know, gave us some better shots.
In
of
that
all the
case, I'm going to edit this out. Hang on, I'm going to go watch it now.
Okay.
Oh no! Don't choke Jennifer Lawrence.
That was my favorite part of the trailer.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, like that.
That was good, actually. Yeah,
it's the best trailer they've done.
Very action packed.
Exactly, but my thing is that. Also, congratulations doing a reaction video, you hipster. So
I can't. They've been trademarked. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that pretty soon. No, but I feel like the thing with like. If you played some of the classic video games or saw the cartoons like I did, like growing up, you know, even though Spider-Man was my first comic book, I did read some X-Men. So seeing Psylocke there was like, man, they got done Psylocke perfectly. Like that's Psylocke. Olivia Munn's selling it. I'm glad. However, I don't like that Jennifer Lawrence is still the lead I don't like that. I don't because not
I
just
like
because
it.
not just because of the Jennifer Lawrence hate that I have that I find more and more justified the more I think about it, but because Mystique is not one to be a leader of the X-Men. It's just my thing. Like
Well,
Mystique would not.
You got the
so-
impression she was supposed to be a leader from that TV spot? I didn't get
Well, just
that
from what
impression.
we've seen in the movie, and I think we're still seeing that she's still unless she gets taken out halfway through the movie, but that looks like she's being choked out in the final battle.
Yeah.
Maybe yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
It certainly establishes that Apocalypse is a serious threat. He's choking her out. He's beating up Xavier.
Yeah.
Actually, neither of
don't-
those are really impressive feats, come to think of it. Because they're just... neither of them are, like, super strong. If he was knocking out Juggernaut, that'd be a big deal.
Shoot Magneto or send like a metal spike through Magneto, then you can come back and talk to me because
Yeah.
he seems to be impervious to metal at this point.
If they showed him, like, beating Wolverine to his knees, that would maybe make him look better.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
I think that's what made Magneto such a good villain in Days of Future Past when like he sends those poles through Wolverine and like this like sends him flying through the sky. I'm like, man, that's power right there. That's why I want to be Magneto. He's my favorite Marvel villain.
Do you think, though, because, like, in that bit in the trailer where the giant Apocalypse hand sort of pins Xavier to the ground, it looks like he's walking again in this. Do you reckon Apocalypse will cripple him again?
Like when the
Like,
when
he's
the
already,
devil broke his
got
legs.
his... Yeah. That'd be good.
Maybe.
Actually, that'd be really good if Apocalypse cripples him a second time, and this time he can't recover from it. I'd really like that.
I always thought that he was going to be crippled again. I always thought like he was just going to be in the wheelchair.
Yeah,
because
that
it's-
drug that makes him walk, you can't use it all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, they might be able to say because I know Beast in Days of Future Past, he said that initially the drug was just to help him walk, but he started using so much of it that it suppressed his powers. So maybe they're going to be like, oh no, I just use only enough for it to make me walk, and then Apocalypse is like, nah, that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
And then,
And that
but
was
then
a-
again, how does a serum heal your spine and just not heal it forever? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
what
It
about the
doesn't make a
serum?
lot of sense, but it was just a way for them to Professor X him again.
Yeah, exactly.
They always do that as Mr. Sunday
Exactly.
movies,
You gotta
and Nick
Professor
Mason
X
points
is
out.
the most powerful character in the MCU. That's the only
Yeah, because he
Not
just
the MCU.
he just frees anyone immediately, so you have to find a way to
Exactly.
remove that somehow.
Yeah, so but my thing is like I don't want my issue is that this movie's not going to feel because Days of Future Past everyone loved it so much is because it felt like a real put together film, but I didn't feel that emotion with the last one. I didn't feel the connection with these characters. I didn't feel like the movie didn't connect with me in that way, and I don't think Bryan Singer has made a movie except Usual Suspects that's made me care about what's going on, and that's just because Usual Suspects pulls the rug underneath you so quickly that you're just like, what just happened? But with the X-Men movies, you're just like, yeah, I mean, Jean Grey died, that sucks. Stryker was a pretty cool villain. I feel like there are certain things in Days of Future Past that he got right, but I'm not sure if that was him or just something that Matthew Vaughn set the stage for and he just made it look nice. I don't know, so that's why I'm interested in seeing where this goes.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It looks adequate.
Yeah. But a lot of when you think of it, like it looks great. But a lot of the X-Men films look great because they can show off all the fancy powers. But yeah. So the X-Men trailers are a little bit deceptive. They always look great, but they're sometimes not that great. The movies. But anyway, we should probably move on. We still got others.
Of course. All right. I feel like we're missing one, but I feel like there was none
Deadpool?
other that I didn't see the Deadpool one. I don't want to watch anything else from Deadpool.
Moving on.
Yeah, I don't want to watch any more from Deadpool because I didn't want to know going in that the opening credits are something really awesome according to the reviews I've heard.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know that, so now I'm going to go in expecting awesome from the get go. So I'm just trying to avoid other things.
And I heard from some of the reviews I saw that they because there's enough superhero movies out now that he can start making fun of the tropes in it, and apparently there's a lot of that, and they're really funny.
Yeah,
I hope he makes fun of the whole Marvel thing where people die and then they come back like immediately.
I want him to make fun of like the whole shared universe thing.
Yeah.
Where he's just like you and you and you and you all get spin-offs. Like he'll point to some people and be like, you get a spin. You know how the movie
like
I don't.
he's
Let's do some
like he's in a-
speculation. Sorry. Yeah.
Or like he's in a military base and he's going to go into some room and everyone's like, no. And he's like, oh, that's for the sequel, okay.
Yeah, that's a
He's
good
like, sounds
one.
like there's a monster in there. Don't open that door yet. Oh, yeah, sequel, right.
He's like, yes, the Empire Strikes Back. Yes, of course. No, but Yeah, he thinks like dark the next
Pardon
one.
me.
No, like, or it'd be cool, like, the movie opens, like, because the video game opens with Deadpool sitting in his apartment reading the script to the game of the Deadpool game, and he's like making his own provisions, and like the studio that made the game calls him, and he's just like, yeah, and then like the voice of Deadpool, the actor, calls him. He's just like, no. So I think that'd be a nice way to open the movie, of like Deadpool coming in and changing things. Like, Tim Miller, yeah, who is that? It's like, you got a first time director from my movie, really? And like, he's like scratching things out and whatnot. Just a thought.
Totally.
Okay. But yeah, I don't want to watch anything else from Deadpool. So, I think that just leaves Civil War.
Oh, yes. That's
Yes. Yes. Unless
everyone's talking about the bit where Tony Stark grabs the bullet.
that
The
was
weird watch glove thing.
I loved that. I loved every second of that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But I think... So Winter Soldier was trying to kill him. He was trying to put a bullet through his head. Wow.
Absolutely. Which makes
It's a
me
little
think...
extreme, Winter Soldier. I thought you were a good guy now.
That's why I'm saying I think there's something... Like, he's clearly suffering from some PTSD. Like, there's clearly something still in there of just, like when you see Tony Stark, the first thing you need to do is cap him. Or maybe someone Bucky cared about or something Cap cared about just died. And Stark was indirectly responsible for it. Because Stark looks like... That looks like Stark around that time, the same scene where Stark says, I want to punch you in your perfect teeth, when he's talking to Cap. I feel like, so maybe something happens and a lot of people die, and one of the people die, I don't know, it was like Sharon Carter or something, and like Cap's like, no, and Bucky's like, traitor, and like pulls out his gun, and so it's like, oh god, and like shoots him in the face. That's a great look on Tony Stark's face, by the way.
Yeah.
He looks genuinely surprised. I feel like Marvel like put blanks in the gun and didn't tell anybody, except
that would be great. I love it if they did
Stan.
that.
It's kind of like what they did with Hans Gruber, where they dropped him a second early, so the reaction was real. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that. They dropped him a bit earlier.
Yeah, like they
They're
told
like
him like
3, 2,
and
drop him.
they dropped him. So the look he gets on his face is legit terror. You think
He's probably thought it was an accident or something.
Exactly. That's why he looks so horrified. He's like, "Wow, this is how I go, huh?"
Plus,
like, no, so
hats off again for him for doing that. That's a long way to fall.
Exactly.
I knew he must have fallen into a giant green pillow thing.
Yeah.
So they could edit it out.
Pillows are only so soft. Like,
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
still a long way to go. But what was I going to say? Like you see in the trailer, there's the standoff between the two sides. They're both lined up. It's like a gang fight or something. Yeah. And I thought, I bet like how it should have ended.
Yes.
I bet how it should have ended is going to have that like, it either erupts into like Michael Jackson's "Beat It," because they did the same thing where the two gangs line up and they all start dancing, or it'll be like West Side Story, because again they do the same thing.
Yeah, like that, or like maybe like they'll have like Wolverine walk in and be like, where, hello, and like Deadpool come in or something. Like, what about me? Like, they get all the characters that should be in Civil War and are not in Civil War.
But
I heard
how it should have ended. They always do like. Because Iron Man would just be like, tank missile, and just take out anyone. Again, same situation there. It could just be like, tank missile, and just blow everyone there up.
I'll tell you what you do. You back up, and you get that thing that he had in Iron Man 1, where he looks through his eye and targets every single one of those guys.
Yeah, and it just goes...
And that's your Kylo Ren blocking the blaster planks. I'm like, you've established like 8 years ago that he could easily take these guys out in one swing, but you're not doing that for dramatic tension. I'm just saying.
But before he shoots them all, he should do the Kung Fu Panda 3 trick. Look over there, and then do it. I saw that as well, by the way. I took my nephew to see it.
It's good. We'll get to it. Let's see. What was I gonna? There was a theory going around that Tony Stark's side looks looks smaller compared to Cap's side. And to be fair, look, they've got the Vision, but it still does look considerably smaller. And I think that's because they're cutting out Spider-Man of the shot.
Oh,
I think it's because they're cutting out Spider, and I've heard that from people. I think it's because they're cutting out Spider-Man, because you clearly see like there's an empty space as they're zooming out on Tony Stark's team, because otherwise they would just put Black Panther there because he's right up in the face of the camera. Also, you see this is Mr. Sunday movies. You see claw marks on Cap's shield, so clearly Black Panther had to strike at that.
I'm surprised Black Panther is on Tony Stark's side. I didn't think he would be. I thought by the time they fight, I figured he would have switched to Captain America.
Well, think about what happened in Wakanda. You know,
Yeah.
in Age of
that's
Ultron.
true, yeah.
I figured, to be fair, Steve is probably right in this scenario. Steve's like, no, you can't control superheroes. But Black Panthers or T'Challa, I'm called. T'Challa's just like, well, you guys destroyed my country. Superheroes destroyed my country. We've got to make sure this stops. And maybe he might be the turncoat. It might not even be Spider-Man, because I know they said that Black Panther is going to have Spider-Man's role in terms of the turncoat back like in 2014. But we're close, man.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm glad. Yeah, you're right. Like they did kind of mess up his Wakanda. And that's good because otherwise there's no reason for him to be there, because even if they are being like, oh, superhero registration in America, he's like, well, I'm in Wakanda. I'm like on the other side of the planet. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, he's like,
now he has reason to be
South
there,
Africa?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's an island nation of South Africa, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But point being, that's probably maybe the best scene in Age of Ultron anyways, is when the Hulkbuster fight happens. It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, were there any other moments besides the lineup and the Iron Man almost getting shot in the face moment that kind of stick out to you from that trailer?
Yeah, I like the bit with Jennifer Lawrence. Oh no, wait, that's
I like the bit with Scarlett Johansson.
yeah, she's discount Jennifer Lawrence.
You better bite that tongue. Before I get someone to get it, so I get someone to bite it. I'll get that man to find you.
I want
get that dog
Jennifer
on you.
Lawrence to be playing Sarah Connor in the sequel to Terminator Genesis. That's my dream.
You don't want me to. I will
just
see
combine
that
all the things that you hate into one.
I will refuse to see that movie. Meanwhile, while they're and the whole movie is just them commenting on The Force Awakens. That doesn't make any sense. That's just like the last one. Raise a Mary Sue. Like that's the.
Yeah.
That's like a nightmare I've had, and the Babadook's watching it with them too. Yeah, sorry.
Well, spoiler alert: she basically is a Mary Sue. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. I really hope
think...
I really hope this video also ends in who cares, because if not,
it's going to end with that. I think the reason that J.J. Abrams wrote Rey the way that he did was because, remember, in Star Trek Into Darkness, he copped a lot of flack for the way the female actors in that were portrayed. Because one is basically just there to stand around in her underwear, and the other one's nagging Spock the whole time about not sharing his feelings, even though he's a Vulcan, and the whole point of being Vulcan is you don't, share your feelings. So, like, he copped a lot of criticism for that. So I think in this one, he overcompensated with Rey. And that's
I don't really think the females are the problem with Star Trek Into Darkness.
There's a lot wrong with it. They're one of the problems.
Is that bikini shot a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Gratuitous? Yeah, but I mean, come on, it's a summer popcorn film. What do you expect? I mean, I know it's Star Trek.
Afterwards to defend himself, he's like, oh well, there was a deleted scene of like Benedict Cumberbatch in the shower, so here you go, everyone. And he like shows it to everyone. So, so he's like, it's not just her that was showing skin.
No one wants to see pale Benedict Cumberbatch sitting in a shower with his all weird snake-like Benedict Cumberbatchness until they give him a shirtless scene in Doctor Strange, because that's happening. They're making him work out like a maniac, or quote Wiki Plant, like a mag dog for Doctor Strange, just for that trailer shot of him standing around with the beard.
He's like have you seen? I can't remember where it was. There was like a talk show where it was like the cast of Star Trek Into Darkness, and it's him and it's Chris Pine and there was someone else there. But the host was like asking like the girls in the audience. They're like, "Oh, are you a Cumberbatch or are you a Pine?"
Yeah.
Pine
Graham Norton
nut or whatever. And like all the girls were like, "Yeah, I'm there for Benedict. I'm there for Benedict. I'm there for Benedict."
He's the batch of Cumber. He is mine. He is the batch of Cumber. He is on my list. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Yeah, right up there with Scarlett Johansson.
There's a lot of women out there that want to see Benedict Cumberbatch in the shower.
I'm just saying not after not until he gets the Marvel treatment, where he gets like the Rock to come in and get him all beefed up and whatnot. So it's coming. Don't worry. Speaking of which,
shall we move on to the news?
Speaking of someone that had something coming for them,
as
Ben,
people...
why don't you explain what happened? Yeah.
All right. This is a little bit of YouTube drama, but it's funny YouTube drama if you're not a part of it, as most YouTube drama is. There's a YouTube channel called The Fine Brothers, and they make reaction videos. Even if you don't watch them, I guarantee you would have seen one of their stuff at some point, because they have it like elders react to GTA 5, where they show old people Grand Theft Auto 5 and make them play it and they edit together funny reactions from the old people, or they have like teens react to a commercial from the 50s that's like really sexist and stuff like that, or they have all these teens react, elders react. And they came out with this video and they said, we're going to do React World, which basically it was sort of like they were franchising the idea. So if you want to start doing like a series of theirs, like with their basic format, then you can like sign up and sort of, all this sort of stuff. And like you'd share revenue with them, but you'd also get access to special stuff from them. And everyone's like, oh, that's really great.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, and everyone's like, maybe I'll do that. But then they started talking about, we're protecting our format and we're going to start trademarking certain words to protect our format. And it came out that they actually trademarked the word react. And then other people came out, like there was a guy who had 114 subscribers who just because he had the word react, 114 subscribers, he got his video blocked worldwide by the Fine Brothers just because he used the word react. Another guy had 10 subscribers and 8 views on his video, that got blocked by the Fine Brothers. And people are like, wait a minute. First of all, you can't trademark the word react on YouTube. You can't own a genre like that.
It's the English language.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't own a genre. And why are you shutting down channels that are not even like, sure enough, if they call themselves Fine Brothers and they edit it together in exactly the same way, they're kind of ripping off their format. But if they're just sitting there doing a reaction video, regardless of what you think of reaction videos, you can't claim that's a copy. And they even in the past, like Ellen DeGeneres did a segment on her show where she brought out kids and she was showing them like old technology, like those old mobile phones that are like giant bricks. And, she's sitting there with the kids joking around. And the Fine Brothers, I think the video from her show is still on YouTube, and the Fine Brothers complained about it on Twitter, said she's ripping off our format, even though she never used the word react. It's like, what? She's talking to kids, showing them stuff. You don't own that. And
the reaction, look, I mean, I don't mean to jump in, I'm sorry.
That's all right, go for it.
Like, the whole reaction video thing, look, I'm very picky when it comes to a reaction video because I've recently discovered this channel called I Hate Everything, which sounds awful. But this guy really knows how to formulate his opinions, and he doesn't come across as pretentious, which I love. Even though I disagree with him sometimes, that's okay. But he does make a great point about reaction videos, in that a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, and some major channels just sit there, watch the video, and then don't give any commentary, and then say, all right, thanks for watching, like, and subscribe, and then the video's out, and they can do 18 of those videos a day or something. There are some channels that know how to do this really well. Like, there's a channel called The Real Rejects. I think Tyrone Magnus does this pretty well, and
have you seen what's happened to him recently?
Tyrone Magnus?
With the Grade A Under A?
No, I haven't, but I'm glad you watched Tyrone Magnus. We'll get to that in a second.
Nuclear level heat between those two.
But it's
anyway,
like,
we'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, what happened though, like the reason I'm bringing this up to our listeners, because you'd find it hilarious, is anyway, the backlash against these guys, because we're like, if you're going after Ellen DeGeneres and you get the rights to react, then pretty much nobody's safe. You've already shown that you'll go after anyone who's even remotely like your videos. So the backlash was the amount of hate that flooded these guys, they lost something like 1 million subscribers in 5 days. People were, if you Google like live subscriber count, you can look up any channel and it shows you live the subscribers.
Yeah.
If you go to them now, they're still losing subscribers. People have been live streaming their subscriber count just going down. And
that's
down.
Beautiful.
And
that's awesome.
Every video on their channel you go to is like, it might have like 10,000 thumbs up and then like 100,000 thumbs down. And on their channel, like, just the comment section is dripping with hate. And even after they had to remove the initial video where they announced it because it was just the worst kind of hate. And then they put up another video like apologizing. That got the same amount of hate. So they've just deleted it. And now they're just they've said they're not going to do React World. They're not trademarking the word React. And they're just trying to go about their business putting up videos. I think they put up like 3-4 since then. But the hate is not stopping. And
no, it's not going to for a while.
Look, Fine Brothers, I'm sorry you're going through this. I know how much it must suck. But like as a content creator myself, like I understand that, I mean, they're saying like, even if we get the rights to the word React, we're not going to use it to take down channels, even though it's already been shown they have. But I'm glad that they didn't get their way, because I don't want YouTube to become a place where big YouTube channels can kind of corner markets like that.
Exactly.
The whole point of YouTube is anyone can go on and do a video, and nobody can stop you. It's supposed to be you, Tube, not them, Tube.
Yes. Okay. So imagine.
I'm
imagine
sorry,
if
you
someone,
guys,
like,
Five Brothers. I'm sorry you're getting the hate, but I'm also glad that it's setting a precedent to other channels not to try and do something like this.
Imagine if a channel like Watch Mojo decided, because they're powerful enough, even though Universal almost took them down, which is crazy, but they're powerful enough. They are a corporation. Imagine if Watch Mojo decided we're going to copyright the term top 10. Yeah. Imagine how many people that would affect. There are channels that don't even do the same thing they do. They're just top 10 list. And granted, there are some top 10 lists that maybe are a little weird, but I think top 10 list, whether I'd be affected by that. My video would get taken down because you can't. It's such a broad term. Screen Junkies and CinemaSins had a bit of a minor debacle, minor compared to this. When CinemaSins did this video, and they've been doing these videos called before and after reviews on their channel for you know who CinemaSins are, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they did the main guy will do before and after reviews in his car with his friend. And Screen Junkies did a video similar to that, like super similar to that. But then again, all videos in cars are going to be similar. But they use it as a way to promote a car, because Screen Junkies is a part of a corporation, Defy Media, and they used it to promote a car. And Jeremy was upset because he looked at it as they were taking his format, and his fans came and flocked to Screen Junkies and started disliking the video and commenting, disliking other videos and unsubscribing. Yeah, it was a big thing for a couple of days, and you can clearly tell that they've made up from it, because in the in memoriam, the Screen Junkies Awards they did Screen Junkies credibility, and it showed that pics from that video. I was like, good job, guys. But it's like Jeremy, he had the right to be upset because maybe he did find things were similar, but doing reviews in your car is not your format, Jeremy. If Screen Junkies were to come out and make a CinemaSins video without your permission, that's more things to be upset about, because and that it's different. It's a
that's
different
right.
thing.
It's like the whole nature of the internet is that everyone borrows stuff from everyone else.
Yes,
everybody. I saw one time Billy T800. Like, he had a really cool way that he'd show a clip where he'd have the clip, but then he'd also have the clip. He'd have it shrunk, but the clip's in the background, but it's blurred and with a blue tinge. And I thought, that looks really cool. So I used that a bit. I had a couple videos where I did that. So everybody borrows little things like that from each other.
I've seen that everywhere. Like, I like the whole people do that in Instagram videos and whatnot. It's a cool thing. It's a cool way to show a video. It also kind of helps with copyright. But my whole thing with this is that people need to. We don't need. This is why YouTube is becoming such kind of an issue nowadays, is because people shouldn't. It's weird. I've lost my train of thought. Oh well. Look, the whole thing sucked.
The reason I bring it up is because a lot of our listeners liked the segment of Trey Tours that we had a couple of weeks back, where we had hate comments to you, Trey. And I really enjoyed that segment too. But now the Trey Tours are not hating on you anymore, so. Which is kind of a shame. I wish they would, because I want to have that segment again. So instead, careful. I'm just going to have to go in and start leaving comments like, "I hate you, Trey." But I picked up some
Mad
of the
Max
funniest.
Fan 41 says, yeah.
I picked up. I went through some of the Five Brothers videos and picked out some of the funniest hate comments that they've got that I thought we could include, even though it's not towards you, Trey. We could play the theme song again. Here's a quick segment, Five Brothers version of Traitors.
Traitor!
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
I hate you!
All right, so if you haven't checked out any of the videos on Fire Brothers channel, I highly recommend it, because the comment section is actually funnier and more entertaining than the video itself. What some of these people coming up with. The first one just says, this was the third video where they're just trying to pretend like it didn't happen, and the guy's like, "You really don't get it. It's over. You can never recover from this." 500 thumbs up to that comment.
Wow.
Another one said,
I mean, it's the truth. I mean, they're not wrong.
Another one
It's going to
says,
take some time. Sorry.
hashtag here for my daily dislike. 271 thumbs up.
Give that man an award. Give that man an award.
Another one says, Fine Brothers are suing Sodium for reacting with chlorine. Good one. Another one says, they've got the little trademark symbol, and he says, so, trademark much, trademark hate, trademark on, trademark this, trademark channel, trademark.
That's awesome. These guys are great.
Another guy has taken that trademark symbol, and you know how people like post tons of it and they can form little pictures? He's taken that trademark symbol, he's posted it hundreds of times to form like a hand flipping the bird. Giving the Five Brothers a middle finger.
I want to try and trademark the trademark symbol.
Well, one person says, hashtag trademark the dislike button.
Man, these guys are
the
great.
video's getting so many dislikes if they trademark that. That's got 741 thumbs up.
Man. This is great.
There's only two more. Okay, one says, I've trademarked the letter B. Since your username has the B in its place, take your channel down now. 3,831 thumbs up.
Fine. Oops. Fine, Rose. Look, I mean, listen.
And one guy's like, actually, I haven't watched their videos in a week because something happened.
Honestly, that was me.
missed
I
it
had
all.
no idea this happened until I listened to a podcast where they talked about it. I had no idea this was happening. So that guy was me was me last week. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, what's going on?
Highly recommend everyone out there checks out the comment section. They are so funny. And that was the Fine Brothers edition of Traitors.
Traitor! Oh man,
But we won't go into it now. But yeah, if you want to talk about Tyrone Magnus and all the controversy with the reactions, Grade A Under A and him just had an epic feud, and Grade A in hilarious fashion just absolutely roasted him so bad on his channel.
Yeah.
And Tyrone's actually lost a lot of subscribers because of it too. He looks terrible as a result, but that's a whole nother thing, yeah.
That sucks
Anyway.
because he has this whole thing, 1 million subscribers. Like, that's his journey.
Yeah, I saw one of
Man.
the comments in his description was 1 million dislikes. Woo! So, which is funny, but mean for old
That's
Tyrone.
hilarious. But dude, I respect the heck out of Tyrone Magnus because he is capitalized on a market
Yeah.
because he knows how to react to things, and he actually most of the time, I have not seen every single one of his videos, so I cannot speak for it. But he's not one of the guys that just likes to sit there and not do anything. But I mean, it's not like I don't want to call out a bunch of channels, but Jinx, but there are channels out there. Kids just
Grade A
sit.
Under A has roasted Jinx really bad too, and Jinx has actually
kinda-
quit doing reactions now. He just said he's not going to do them anymore.
And it worries me because like the schmoes do a reaction video, and they do like legit reaction videos, and I'm worried that because I feel like this all started the first time I ever heard hate for a reaction video was Nick Mason a year ago in the Weekly Planet podcast or something, where he's just like, oh, do a reaction video. You got to talk like this and look in front of the camera, get my reaction.
Look at
1
this, I'm
million likes.
reacting. That's
Look at
what he
this.
said.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this. I'm reacting. 1 million subscribers. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But I like it. I've spent countless hours watching reaction videos.
I like a good reaction video. There's a lot of good reaction videos of people reacting to the Red Wedding when they see it and stuff like that. I love that.
We'll
I
get
just
to the
don't
Red
like
Wedding.
channels that
We'll get to the Red
take
Wedding.
someone's entire video, plays it in its entirety, and just sits there watching it silently. And it's really you're claiming this is your content. It's not. You're stealing someone else's.
Exactly.
At least do a breakdown at the end. But a lot of reactions.
Yeah, it's
don't do that.
and I love what the Fine Brothers were doing, because they took the reaction aspect of it and really turned it into a whole show. Whether or not you like what they've continued to do later on in their career, back in the not earlier quote unquote days, back in a couple of years ago, they were doing some really great work, and I haven't watched them recently, so clearly something's gone wrong. But they do good work, and I respect them for it. I respect Watch Mojo too, even though I don't like their stuff.
Yeah.
I respect them too. If you're successful, I respect you.
Despite all what I said about reaction, hey, Tyrone, if you want to react to one of my videos, yeah, go for it, because you got
Please.
600,000 subscribers, so that
Please.
really help out.
We need all
Feel
the boost we
free.
need.
You can watch whatever you want. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Just link to my channel at the end. That's all that matters.
Just pour it out.
Should we
Just
move
pour
on?
it out to Tyrone Magnus.
I know we're having fun talking about this, but a lot of people are probably like, what? You know. Anyway,
Yeah.
should we
all
move
right.
on to the homework?
Yeah, man. So we had some homework.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment. You're gonna go out, you're gonna start a fight with a total stranger. You're gonna start a fight, and you're gonna lose.
So I saw a couple of movies this past week or so. I got an event screening last Tuesday to the new Coen Brothers movie, Hail Caesar, and I've been actually really excited for it. I got the tickets pretty early. I was really pumped. I went in.
Is that a
Sorry.
comedy?
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Yeah.
That's what I
mean-
thought, 'cause from the trailers, I was like, hopefully this is supposed to be a comedy. Otherwise, it's
Oh
terrible.
yeah, it's definitely supposed to be a comedy.
Okay, good.
That's definitely what they intended. So I went in, I watched it, and the movie has not done very well. And this is how I can tell a movie's not going to do well. First of all, I got to the movie maybe 10 minutes before it starts. Bunch of seats left, so clearly people weren't climbing out to go see it. And
a
once
lot
the
of
movie
seats
was
left, or
like you could if you added up all the seats, you could make probably 2.5 good rows of seats. So a good
that's
amount,
not
yeah.
that bad.
It's like I feel like it's like a Saturday afternoon screening, but this isn't like going to the
Well, yeah, for Saturday afternoon, that's pretty bad.
No. I mean like it was like going to a screening for a Saturday afternoon, or like it felt like there weren't a lot of people in the theater.
Okay.
Cause usually like if you get there 10 minutes before the movie starts, you're there in the front 2 rows or in the front row because all the seats are taken. Like for every movie I've been to, and I've been to some smaller movies, but this theater was kind of empty. I'm like, well, empty relative. Anyways, and after the movie was over, there's usually applause or some kind of light cheering or whatever. Silence. The movie ends, and people just stood up and walked out. And I said, "Oh, that's so weird. That's
Wow.
never happened to me before." I mean, it happens all the time when I go to regular movies, but whenever I go to screenings, people usually applaud. So I saw the movie, and no, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I didn't have a good time watching the movie.
So George Clooney wasn't funny?
He was. The movie's funny. Everyone's good in it, which is why I didn't give it a complete, flat goose egg. But it's just not enough for me to. It's not. The movie's so insignificant in its presentation. Like this movie clearly wanted to be more of a love letter to classic cinema than an actual, good cohesive movie. And I know I know that people are saying that that's the Coen Brothers style. I'm like, but that doesn't excuse a poorly made movie because No Country for Old Men had a similar kind of thing where if you watch No Country for Old Men, if you went, like, say you lived in that world, you could go on for the rest of your life not knowing the events of No Country for Old Men happened and not care.
Yeah.
And nothing would change. But as a viewer watching inside that world, we do care because we see these characters and we see this world and it's vicious and it's horrible. Same with like Fargo or Big Lebowski or what was the other one I did, or Raising Arizona, stuff like that. Those kind of movies. But with this, if you didn't know about it in the world, you wouldn't care, and you don't care watching the movie. So I know when I got out, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So when I got out and the producer asked me, she said, so if you could describe it to me in a couple of words, what would you say? I said, insignificant. And she was just like, look, I work for the guys, and I felt that way too. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I had some really high hopes. Like the movie looked great from the trailers. I love the Coen Brothers, but man, they dropped the ball with this. I don't know what happened. A lot of the jokes and gags go on for too long. A lot of the clever stuff is really put to the side for sight gags that aren't funny. Like the fact that we see a cowboy making a lasso out of spaghetti is so on the nose that they focus on it for 2 minutes. And I got really bored. I'm like, yes, spaghetti western, we get it. Go back to Tilda Swinton, please, because she's in it and she's great. But do you know who Tilda Swinton is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Because you hadn't seen any of the Harry Potter movies last week, so I had no idea where your film knowledge stands.
Actually, when you mentioned Spotless Mind, what was the name of that movie? Eternal Spotless Mind.
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, yeah.
Yeah, someone on Twitter said, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't seen that. It's got Jim Carrey." And then I said, "Oh, wait, is that the one where he's trying to get rid of his memory of his ex-girlfriend?" And he's like,
Yes.
"Yeah." So I had seen that one.
Yeah,
I just
Charlie
couldn't remember
Kaufman.
the name of it.
Oh my god. Being John Malkovich.
See, I'm not
Yes.
that bad.
Okay, I know, but
I
the
have seen
comments,
that.
like I read the comments of the video, it's like, come on, Bandit. Like, Bandit, come on.
I just thought
You
to
gotta
quote
watch Coraline.
it was insignificant.
I mean, that's ultimate subjective. Like, I know the person I saw it with, he really enjoyed it, but I'm like, that's great for you. I just didn't have a nice time watching it.
Yeah.
So I ended up giving it like a 2.9 out of 5 because I don't want to give it the fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
What rating would you give Hail Caesar?
Hail Caesar. Oh yeah, Hail Caesar. Oh, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind gets a different rating. Hail Caesar would get a 2.9 out of 5 because.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan. Yeah.
All right. Well, I actually followed up. I watched a couple things. Mm-hmm. I watched Anomalisa, and I watched a couple episodes of Full Metal Alchemist because one of our listeners assigned that. And Anomalisa, first of all, it was like I find myself thinking about it a lot. I won't spoil anything, but I find myself thinking about it a lot after I've watched it. Even though it's funny because like as I was watching it, I was kind of like, yeah, okay.
Exactly.
But then it sort of builds and builds, and by the end I was like, I wonder what all this means. And there's a few things at the beginning, again, I won't spoil anything, where I thought it was just bad choices in filmmaking, but like specifically voice actors, I was like, why are they using the same voice actor for everyone?
I told you that.
Couldn't they even afford to get like, even if it's a little kid or if it's a woman, it's still the same guy? And I was like, this is weird. But no, it's a deliberate choice, and the way it works out, I was like, wow, that's really clever.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I was trying to explain it to you last week, and I was just like, it's all the same guy. I just heard silence at the end of the Skype call. I'm like, oh god, he's not getting any of this. But I'm like, it makes sense when you watch the movie.
Yeah. But at first, when you watch it, you're just like, this isn't very good. Couldn't they afford another? But yeah, it's a deliberate choice in it.
I loved the voice acting. I was hooked about 10 minutes in. Once I realized what they were doing with this, I'm like, oh, I love this. But
I couldn't see that as being like one of the good stoner movies. You know, where people get high and they're like, whoa,
freak out.
What's happening, man? You know?
No, this movie would freak stoners out. There's a certain scene that I won't give away here, but it involves someone running down a hallway, and they would freak out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that scene. Yeah. But yeah, in the end, I give it a thumbs up. Good.
I just think that the movie there are certain things that happen in the movie, especially towards the film's ending, that I just applaud the movie for. Without giving anything away, when a certain character is talking to another certain character and the voice acting starts to change, that's the scene where I'm just like, man, that sucks.
Yeah. And there's seemingly irrelevant stuff later on where he sort of meets up with like his ex-girlfriend, he's having a conversation, and at the time you're like, what's the point of this?
Exactly.
But then later on, you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's why he was asking her the things he was asking her, because this happens, and so it's quite well made, and like,
yes,
I'd recommend it as well. Just like, not just as kind of a cool mind-bending kind of movie, just the fact that it's all motion capture and how well it's done. Oh my! Is that the word, motion capture, or stop motion?
Well, motion capture is like the Planet of the Apes, kind of stuff.
What's the name for this one?
This is stop motion.
Stop motion, yeah. Fantastic. And like you mentioned last week, there is actually a sex scene in stop motion.
It's puppet sex, but like
it's surprisingly not as weird as I thought it would be.
No, I thought I was just watching a movie happen. That's my thing. Is like it gets to the point where there's a certain I don't know if I can give this away because there's so little about the movie that's released. There are certain details about a character's face that make it so that the kind of uncanny valley doesn't happen to you, to where you're not watching, you feel like something's off because you know something's off because like the way the eyes are put or whatever, you know when you're watching the movie. But so like I don't know if they did that on purpose or just because that's the way they made the puppet, but this movie did a lot of cool things, and I'm gonna go back and watch it when it comes out on DVD or whatever, and I'll check it out later.
I enjoyed it, but I don't really feel I need to go back and watch it again.
I just think that
but I would recommend it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, but be prepared. If you're tired, don't watch it. You'll be
that's right. If you're tired or you just want some entertainment, it's not that kind of movie, you know. But anyway. Also, Full Metal Alchemist. One of our listeners recommended that we watch Full Metal Alchemist. You obviously can't because you're very busy. I watched a couple episodes. Now, I should point out, I think the episodes I ended up watching were actually the second series because it was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I got the impression it was the second series or something. So, but in any case, it's still Full Metal Alchemist. And for anyone who doesn't know, anime, it's basically alchemy is a thing where you can transform stuff into other stuff. Basically, it's a little bit reminded me a little bit of like some of the powers of the Last Airbender, where they can do different stuff. Where it's like it's basically a superpower, but it's based off science, and there's certain rules of science they have to follow. Like they can create something new, but you can't create something from nothing. You have to create something out of something that's already existing. So, like, one of the characters, he's got, like, a metal cyborg arm, so he can, like, turn it into, like, a giant knife or into all these different things, but it has to, or, like they can build a house, but they need the materials there. They can't just sort of stuff. But one of the things is, one thing, like, the rule of alchemists that they'll have is you can't try to create a human or, like, bring someone back to life. You know, because, like, how could you equal... Because they call it the law of equal returns or something like that. That's everything needs to have a corresponding value. So if you're trying to, like, create life or bring someone back from the dead, how can you equal that? And it's basically these two brothers. They're young boys. It's, like, all in the first episode's backstory. It's not spoilerish. And their dads died long before their mum dies, and they miss her, of course. They're both, like, alchemists because they take after their dad. So they decide they're going to bring her back to life. So they get, like, you know, all the chemicals together that make up the human body, like sodium and potassium, and they measure it all out in the right thing. And they try to sort of make her, and it goes horribly wrong. And basically, because you need law of equal returns, they're like, well, if you're trying to bring her back, someone has to die. So, like, the guy's younger brother is basically going to die. And in last-ditch effort, his brother is able to prevent this from happening by sort of transferring his life into a suit of armor kind of thing. So it's just sort of like an empty suit of armor that has his brother's sort of soul basically in it. And it's sort of about them, and they're like battling bad guys, but they're also trying to sort of undo this. And like like the main character, he like lost his arm and he lost a leg in this process. And it's like, it's kind of cool, and there's like good comedy, but it's also like there's some weird stuff in it, and like it messes with your head. Some of the stuff, like there's a dude who's like some of it's really dark too. Like there's one episode where a guy, he's like a scientist alchemist, because they're the same thing, scientist alchemist, and he's trying to sort of create like a talking dog or whatever. So he's like he's trying to like create more intelligent animals, and his research isn't getting funded. So in the end, he basically takes his daughter and his dog and merges them together. And you're like, whoa! And it's really kind of creepy, because the dog is like, Daddy, Daddy. And I was just like, this is freaking me out, man.
Is that why when you went for your jog, like you were just like you saw the like the dog behind you?
Like, kick it! It's getting at me.
It's called
It's
Daddy.
a hybrid. Get it? But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like there's some good action stuff like that. There's a bit of humor. Yeah, it's if you like One Punch Man, but you want something that's a little bit got more of a darker edge to it, then yeah, I'd say Full Metal Alchemist, from what I've seen, at least, is that. So there you go.
See, my thing with anime is that it's a lot like when I eat Chinese food. It's that I really have to. It's a case by case basis. I can't just say, yeah, I like Chinese food, because every time I taste Chinese food, I will. Here I go, make it further Chinese again. Every time I taste Chinese food, I'll find something new that I don't like or like about it. And so with anime is such a specific style of making a TV show or something. And so my question to you is, does it feel very anime-ish? And what I mean by that is, does it have the usual tropes that you associate with something like an anime?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, it's got that thing that I noticed that One Punch Man does as well, that like if a character gets angry or something, the actual animation kind of changes. Yeah. And it kind of shifts to a little bit more of a 2D-ish, kind of more of a crude design. And they're like, I can't believe you're talking about that. Yeah. And it's like, so it's very, it's very anime-ish.
And like before I offend anybody, because I've had this conversation with people who read manga and watch anime before. It's not even the anime that I really am not a fan of. It really is the fandom. Because, like, I'll sit down with somebody who I know watches anime, and I'll say, oh, what's an anime you recommend I watch? And they'll, like, they'll say, I don't know, One Piece. I pull that out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, well, what about One Piece is so great? And they're like, oh, this, and this. I'm like, well, I'm not sure I'll be a fan of that. And then they just get so offended, like, how dare you not like what I said? I'm like, I haven't even seen it. I'm just saying it's not what I'm into. And so it's like, I'm scared to try to get, and like from what I've seen only selected samples of certain animes. I'm like, that's not my style. But yet I love the Studio Ghibli films, so I'm just like, I don't know, I'm kind of at a standstill. But I'm gonna give some anime a shot.
Yeah.
Once I finish Game of Thrones in Daredevil,
I'd
because Daredevil's
say
going to be back in a month.
Yeah, like if you think about looking, like if you want something more fun and lighthearted, go for like One Punch Man. If you want something with more sort of in-depth sort of ideas to it, but is darker, then Full Metal Alchemist is probably the way to go.
Okay.
But yeah, you mentioned Game of Thrones. What are you up to now?
I've just finished season 4, episode 2, and I will say, full spoilers. We're not going to go too in depth because I want to do a Game of Thrones full episode, and kind of a build up to whenever the show comes back in April. But which is why I'm trying to catch up. But spoilers for pretty much everything that I've seen. When Joffrey went, I can't tell you how satisfying it was to see, like, he's talking, like, it's so rough because, like, everyone is there just like, he's a douche, and like Cersei's just like, my son's a douche, and like, oh, I hate Cersei so much.
And especially like leading up to it, he's at his douchiest best there when he's like, humiliating Tyrion.
Showing him Ned Stark's head was pretty douchey.
Oh yeah, that was pretty bad. Yeah.
How long does she have to look? Like, man, that's pretty. No, but like, okay, so he's talking. He's like, "Excuse me, I have to," and I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, I have to, and I looked up. I said, What'd you say? And he's just like, and I said, "Yeah." I took a screenshot of it. Let me see if I can send it to you. I took a screenshot of my reaction to Joffrey's death. I was so happy. There's not a lot more things that are satisfying to me than watching like just douches die. It's like when
I think you just shared a photo. Yeah, I think part of the reason that they did that was because to give the fans something to cheer for because that was the purple wedding after the red wedding.
Oh God!
Because everyone was so upset after the red wedding. The writer whose name I can't forget because I can never remember names on this podcast.
Okay.
He did. Part of the reason he did the purple wedding and killed off Joffrey was to sort of throw the fans a bone after what happened at the red wedding.
Oh yeah, he's got to, because he's been picking off characters. He's like, you know what? They like them too much. Gone, dead, gone, turn into a little punk. Gone, fine. Well, I saw this cracked video about like the writers of Game of Thrones, and they're just sitting in the room. It's just like, okay, and then we kill off Joffrey, and then the guy's like, no, guys, we can't kill Joffrey. And they're just like, why? Like they're just like trying to, like it's just a series of them trying to take out Joffrey in every episode. It's like, and then there's a war, and then a random arrow hits Joffrey's head. Like, no, we can't kill Joffrey. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, those guys are funny.
But the kid who played Joffrey, hats off to you, bro. Fantastic job. Like, really, really good, man. I just hope people don't hate him in real life because he played the bad guy so well.
Yeah. He's up there with like that douche from Titanic for me, the worst kind of person. Like Christoph, it's like Christoph Waltz in Glorious Bastards, Zed, Pulp Fiction, bloody Billy Zane, Titanic, Joffrey. It's like they're all right up there from movie douches.
Well, now that he's gone, he's sort of been taken over by the Bastard of Bolton. Man, and like
the one that took
Theon's
soul. Okay, so I watched Jeremy's review of the Red Wedding after I saw the Red Wedding happen, and Jeremy put my thoughts in perspective perfectly. He's like, look, for like 3 weeks, my biggest question was, does Theon Greyjoy still have a dick? And then this happened. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what I think. I'm like, wait, so did they take Theon? Yeah, but then the Red Wedding happens. Then that Red Wedding happens, and I'll send you my reaction to that as well. If you look, you'll just see the crushed soul in my eyes. Because look, I knew Robb Stark died because I was not quick enough to get away from a Weekly Planet spoiler. Because Nick Mason is not one to stray from spoilers. And they were talking about it, and they're like, if you watch Game of Thrones and you know that if you have like a simple name, then you die. And he said Ned, Rob, and then I paused it. I'm like, well, shoot, Rob Stark dies. All right, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, well, hey, that's on you because you're so far behind. So
yeah, exactly. But my thing is that I had no idea. It was going to be like this. Like if you told me it was going to be like this, I was so taken aback. All right, so Filch.
You're sending me all these pictures on Skype for your facial reaction.
Yeah, because it's my reaction.
Like, yay! From the Red Wedding, the next one is like, oh.
Yeah.
No,
it's
from Joffrey's, you're cheering for the Purple Wedding, then you're upset for the Red Wedding. Yeah.
Okay. So the rat-faced Filch, who's from Harry Potter, he's talking. He's like, "Listen, guys, I've been a bad host." And they close the door or whatever, and like they start playing. I think the song they're playing called "The Reigns of Castamere."
Yeah, that's the Lannister song.
Yeah, it's the look that Kat gives when she turns around, like that song starts playing.
Can I give you a little backstory on that?
Please.
When what's the name of the dad? Like Tyrion's dad? What's his name?
Tywin Lannister.
Tywin. I always get Tyrion and Tywin mixed up. But when Tywin was a young man, his dad was a total loser, and like nobody respected him. He didn't inspire any fear in like his own soldiers. They would like borrow money and just wouldn't bother to pay him back and just laugh at him. And it was always kind of like all these men would sort of laugh at his dad. But his dad was so dumb, he would think they're kind of laughing with him, and that's sort of why Tywin, he never smiles and he doesn't trust laughter, sort of thing. But when he sort of became old enough, there was some group that were disrespecting his family, and he was old enough where he's like, "Dad, let me handle it. I'll take care of it." And he took his army and he went and he absolutely eviscerated this house. Wow. Completely, like they don't even exist anymore. So the Reigns of Castamere was this song about how he just completely extinguished this house from the face of the earth. And later on in his life,
like they just did again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the significance. So
that's crazy.
And later on in life, like when there was a time when someone else was giving him trouble, he just sent across like a musician to just play the song to them. And once they heard the song, they're like, "Okay, we'll do what you say. Just please don't wipe us out again."
It's the bat signal of Westeros, and like all you need to do is hear that, and just like all right, I got you.
So that's why at the Red Wedding when they start playing that, like the Mama Stark, whatever her name is, she's immediately like, "Oh crap."
Yeah, like, I love that reaction because that's when I knew I'm like
she
something's
pulls the guy's
right.
his sleeve back. And she sees he's wearing the chainmail underneath it, and she's like, "We're all dead now."
She's like, "Rob, get down!" It's like, ga 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 ga, arrows to the chest. I'm just like, "Ah, man!" Or is it no? The wife gets shanked first, right? Like, so like the guy comes up and he's just like, the guy's like, "I've been a bad host." They play the Reigns of Castamere, and then like a woman, like a guy, just comes up and just like shanks this pregnant chick in the belly, and that's when I took the screenshot. Is right when that happened because Game of Thrones has done some rough stuff, man. Like they've done some rough stuff.
Yeah.
The worst they did before this was when they walked in. It's whenever I think it was Tywin Lannister or someone commanded the death of all of Robert's bastards. So. And they walk into the whorehouse and slit a baby's throat. And we don't see it. We just hear the baby stop crying off screen. That's the worst that I've seen them do until they shanked a pregnant chick.
Well, it's interesting because... sorry to interrupt, but...
No, you're good.
Also, because like in the books, apparently, like with the Red Wedding, there's a big deal is made about in the books of this custom of where you break bread together and something to do with bread and salt. And it's a big custom in Westeros of that. Like if at wedding ceremonies, when you break bread with someone... that's the time when they're most safe. And it's like this sacred thing that's gone back for thousands of years. And it's kind of like if you harm someone at a wedding, once you've broken bread, then you're cursed. Like the gods themselves will turn on you. Like it's the worst taboo you could ever do in Westeros. For people
it's like the kick in the it's like the kick in the balls of like traditions. It's like why would you do that? Like you just you won cheaply. Yeah, it's like
but it's also like it sort of means that any house that does that is going to be cursed thereafter. And like, I'm not sure where you're up to, but Lannisters have got like each individual member of the Lannister household has bad stuff in their future. I don't know where you're up to, so I won't be specific. So, yeah, some people think maybe it's because when that happened, they're, like, officially cursed by the gods or what have you.
Joffrey just died. That's where I'm at, by the way.
That's the beginning. That's just the beginning. There's, like... Okay. And Lannister's... Oh, yeah, he's already lost his hand, but that happened before the wedding. Jamie.
Is it weird that I now like Jamie Lannister? Yeah. I don't know why. I have no idea why.
His backstory, too, is, like, he saved the city from the Mad King. Because of him, he didn't burn the city to the ground, and everyone hates him for it.
He's constantly reminded that, like, he's like ridiculed for Kingslayer. Now suddenly Kingslayer is like the N-word of the Lannisters, and so yeah, it really is. Because he says it with such. He's like Kingslayer. Speaking of which, Gwendolyn Christie, what a fine young woman she is, Captain Phasma. Yeah, I'm not usually one to comment on the nudity of Game of Thrones, but that was a big surprise. When they're in the bath together, I'm like, wow, they make Gwen and Christie look really pretty right here. So anyways.
Have you seen her fight the bear yet?
Yeah.
She gets thrown in a pit and fights a bear. Yeah. She's got a stick.
Yeah.
You know?
And you see Leo in the corner, like, scouring in fear, like, trying to crawl out. And it was nice. Yeah, then bear is going again.
Have you seen her fighting the Hound yet?
No.
Oh. I probably shouldn't have said that. All right, yeah. Well, that's
I'm excited. No, I'm pretty stoked. Like, one of them's got to die, but I don't want any spoilers.
Well, she goes looking for Arya, and yeah.
Okay.
The Hound doesn't appreciate seeing her, so.
Okay, well, clearly, but it's like I think that storyline between Jamie and Brianna Tarth was pretty cool. I liked the relationship that they had. You know, I'm excited to see where that goes.
I like that relationship too. It's like, Jamie, forget about your sister. Just hang out with her.
But what's scary to me, and I never get more nervous in watching Game of Thrones than when either Varys, Lord Baelish, or Cersei Lannister is talking to somebody, because every time that happens, someone's either just died or going to die. And so the moment Cersei Lannister starts talking to Brianna Tarth, I said to my phone, I said, no, don't you do this to me. You can't do, don't you stay away, Cersei Lannister. Cersei Lannister's like, she's the worst. She's literally I can't stand her. I hate her so much. I don't care if you know your child I don't care what you had to go through, what Robert did. And you're the worst. You're the worst kind of person.
Oh,
right now, at least.
But she's always been horrible.
Yeah.
There's that one episode where it flashes back to when she's a kid, and she's horrible then too.
Like, she's the one that told Jamie to push him out the window, didn't she?
She was Jamie when she was younger. She was a female Jamie. That's where he gets it from.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate them too. I love that actress, but I hate that character.
I've only seen her in things that I hate her in, so I haven't seen Dread, but I've seen her in The Purge. She's in the first Purge movie, and she's horrible in that. Oh, she's a mean person in that. Like, she's all stuck up and superficial. Like, all I see now is like Cersei Lannister. Oh, I can't wait for her to get her comeuppance.
She was in Troy too, I think.
Is she in Troy?
Was in the bank job with Jason Statham.
She is in the bank job. Yeah, but it's just like,
she was in 300. She was Leonidas' wife in that.
But I'll tell you, that's the one thing I liked her in. There you go. But I'll tell you what I don't like about this show right now, and it's the way that they're treating Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah,
I don't like the way his character is going. It really
you don't like it.
I think it just seems out of character for him. In certain aspects, like it's weird that, and I mean, it's a nice character touch that whenever his father shows up, he suddenly becomes a different kind of guy. Like, it really does seem that way. That, like, he knows how to talk his way around every other Lannister except his father. Which I guess is a nice character touch, but it really does kind of ruin the whole, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you, because again, in the books, like, apparently he's like, he doesn't really have any issues with his dad still doesn't like him, but he doesn't care. Like, he's already dealt with that.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I agree with you. I didn't like that either, that he's like, oh, Dad, you don't
and
like
it really does kind of negate that with what he told Jon Snow in the very first episode, something like that. He's like, you know, he keeps calling him bastard. He says, look, bastard, if you wear weaknesses like armor, they can never be used to hurt you. And I'll drop that in class sometimes, like in the middle of class, and one guy will turn around and be like, you watch Game of Thrones? I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, like Red Wedding. He's like, yeah, Red Wedding. Yeah, like, and it's like,
Boogie 2988. Yeah, he talked about that too. After that episode, he goes, same with me. He goes, that's why I own being overweight. He goes, because if I make jokes about it, other people make jokes about it, it doesn't have the same sting because I've already said it.
Yeah, it's just the thing about like you can't let what people say bother you. And if you do, that means that you're not strong enough to handle your own thoughts, which is something you need to work on. That being said, I'm just not a fan of where they're taking that character. I was increasingly hating his hooker girlfriend. I
hated her so much.
I hated where they took her.
I don't know why he was so besotted with her.
I liked her at first because she was loyal, but I think it got to the point to where she became the typical female character like that we're used to seeing in movies. Yeah. And Game of Thrones has always been so great with handling females well. Like females, like even if they're like even if they're typical like stuck up, snooty, not strong female fighters, they're still powerful in a specific kind of way. Like someone like Kat or Cersei, but with her, it's just like she's just there to complain, and it's annoying. I'm glad she's gone. So, but that's as far as I've gotten. Joffrey's just died. I'm so happy. I was in a really good mood yesterday when Joffrey died. Like I went to bed smiling which is really weird because it's a fictional character. Jack Gleason is still alive and healthy. He will be for a very long time. Yeah, knock on wood. But so I don't know.
I personally do hope to see him in more roles as he gets older too.
Yeah, he's going to play the douche for a long time, in the same way that Theon Greyjoy's in John Wick, like that actor's in John Wick, and he plays the exact same character. Yeah, that he does in Game of Thrones. Speaking of which, Theon Greyjoy, man,
I remember last time we talked about Game of Thrones, you were like, "Oh, I hate Theon. I want to see him get his comeuppance." Well, he has. He certainly has. He's got
and then some.
More than his comeuppance so far.
Look, I know he burned down Winterfell, and I know he betrayed his family, but man,
and he did burn those kids. I mean,
yeah, I don't think.
I know they weren't the Stark kids, but he still did burn kids. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, we've all come on, come on, man, like at least make it kill him after you do, come on, man.
Yeah, I did like the bit though initially, when his own men turn on him, and he gives that massive speech to them. About we're gonna go out there and show them what men from the Iron Islands are like, yeah, and then he just gets hit in the back of the head. Yeah, and the guy's like, "Couldn't you hit him sooner?" He's like, "It was a good speech."
it's kind of oddly tragic because he talks up so much he's such a douche, but you understand why, because he's had to grow up most of his life being the kid that Ned Stark took from his family. So he didn't grow up because you see his sister and she's like, yeah, she's not the nicest person, but she's at least a strong person. She's at least strong and she can fight. Theon's just he's had to be the douchey kid. That's all he has. And so it's weird. It's you're not a nice person. You're terrible to be around, but I get why you're the way you are. And you didn't deserve to have your dick be chopped off and then still be kept alive. You can take his dick, but then kill him because come on, man. Come on, please. That's so tough to watch.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you can't. That's I'm saying you can't take his bits. Please don't. It's
I think
needs to be an agreement between guys that we don't do that to each other. I'm just saying.
At least just stick a leech on there. Speaking of which, Stannis Baratheon. But we'll tell you what, we're going too deep into Game of Thrones.
Yeah, look, we're an hour and a half in. We haven't started talking about the Dark Knight yet.
Yeah, and I guess we'll skip over Spotlight because we have gone too far into Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bandit, let's get into the main topic.
And now our feature presentation.
So, Bandit.
Yes.
Long time building. In preparation, for you guys that may not know this right now, in preparation for Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, we're going through Nolan's Batman trilogy and Man of Steel to kind of build into the new movie. Mm-hmm. Right now, we are at the best movie, in my opinion. Yeah, the best movie of all time, The Dark Knight. Man, this movie's so good. I love this movie.
It is. It's so good. And again, like with Batman Begins, a couple weeks ago when we did that, it'd been a while since I've watched The Dark Knight, and I'd forgotten how amazing it is.
Oh, I watch this movie once a month. I plug it in. Let's watch Dark Knight. Yeah, this is my favorite movie, and it is still my favorite movie.
Yeah.
All right, Bandit, give me your thoughts. What do you got?
Well, I think. I definitely think it's Christopher Nolan's best. I guess we don't need to summarize the plot. Everyone knows it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's seen it at this point. Yeah, I think it's definitely.
Oh, wait, have you
Christopher
seen It's Just Some Random? Do you know who It's Just Some Random guy is?
That rings a bell.
He does videos with action figures and like makes comedy skits out of them, and he's really funny. And he did one about Iron Man and versus Batman. Basically, it's like Marvel versus DC stuff. And he did one with Iron Man versus Batman, and he released one right after The Dark Knight came out. And like he said, like Iron Man won the summer of 2008, and then The Dark Knight came out, and everyone like lost their mind, completely forgot about Iron Man.
Yeah.
And like Jesus Christ came down, and he said, "I have come to explain my teachings to the world and show my second coming." After the 10:45 show, this movie's gonna go see it again, and like it was a big deal. Sorry, keep going.
Because that's right. Because came out sort of around about, and like a lot of people look at like Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and say, "Oh, that was a big deal," and it certainly was. But there's something about The Dark Knight. I think it's more than just a big movie. It's more than just a good movie. It feels like special and significant in the larger cinematic realm. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, it's one of those movies where when you think of movies that became a staple of the phrase "a movie," you just think of certain movies like, going way back to the beginning, you have your Wizard of Oz, Casablanca, Citizen Kane, going kind of further into the 60s or whatever, Jaws, Indiana, I know it's the 70s, but, moving on, Jaws, Star Wars, your blockbusters, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, you keep going, The Matrix, in terms of like change things cinematically, The Matrix, and then we hit Dark Knight. And like when people think of like, what are the best movies of the modern day of 2000s? Dark Knight's usually there. It's like The Dark Knight. And I remember, and I've told this story before on the podcast, but I guess I should tell it again. This movie means a lot to me. It's the movie that got me my love of movies. I was sitting in the theater, my first midnight showing. All my family was really excited to go see it. I'd seen Batman Begins to this point. I've been reading Batman comics at this point. I was big into superheroes and Power Rangers, and I sat down and watched The Dark Knight. With my parents, with my family. The movie ends, and I turned to my mom and I said, "Mom, I want to do that." She's like, "What, make movies?" I'm like, "Yes, Mom, I want to make movies." And then that Christmas, I got my first camcorder. So, so The Dark Knight is the movie that got me. I told that really well, thank you. The Dark Knight is the movie that got me into movies. It's my all-time favorite movie. For a lot of people, it's Star Wars, but Star Wars is great, but it is, in my opinion, no Dark Knight.
Yeah, I think it's as close to a perfect movie as anyone could possibly get.
Yeah.
I think like some of our listener questions, a lot of them were Dark Knight related. Like I noticed one person said like, "What's one thing you'd improve or one thing you'd change?" And I really struggled to find anything. There's only one thing I'd change, and it's just a slight minor detail, and that's where because we're jumping into the events of the movie now. Yeah, we're done with our sum up.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
it's in the scene
full spoilers, but whatever. Yeah,
it's in the scene where Joker sort of invades the party, and he's like, "We are tonight's entertainment," that we use for the opening of the show. In that scene, like that's the only scene that he and Michael Caine have together, and you don't even know that Alfred's even in the room. It's just the camera sort of quickly pans across, and you see Alfred standing there with the others. But they don't show Alfred. They don't cut back to him at any other point, because like obviously, because if you know in your head that Alfred's in the room there, like when Joker's got the knife up to Rachel, you'd be like, "Alfred, step in, do something." So they kind of cut it out. So the only thing I would change is I would make it that he wasn't in the room when Joker was there.
Well, do you know the story behind that, right?
That's the smallest part, and I wouldn't even... No, what's the story?
Well, originally Alfred had a scene. Alfred had lines when Joker walks in the room, but he had never seen Heath Ledger in his full getup before. So the reason Alfred doesn't say anything is because, Michael Caine got so flustered, and you can see it on his face. He got so flustered, and he got so like awestruck by what he saw, so that when Heath Ledger came in and started doing his thing, he just stepped back and watched.
Wow.
So that's the story behind. And this movie's full of improv stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I honestly don't. I honestly think the movie works better for, because you can look at it and say, well, Alfred should say something when Rachel steps up. But at this point, maybe Alfred knows Batman's in the room. Because Batman just kind of showed up out of nowhere. But that's Batman's thing.
Yeah.
So,
but. Yeah, I didn't know that. So that story actually makes it worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's like
he just choked out Harvey Dent, so they could have made it that Alfred was sort of dragging Harvey Dent away while Joker's in the room so they could use that for he's not there. But
then we won't get that great scene when Christian Bale's walking down the hallway, and the guy's like, "Out of my way, move, pretty boy." And then knocks him out and like takes out the gun and like it
just pulls it apart without even breaking stride.
And like that equilibrium face that he gives. Oh yeah.
I thought because we're just, as we always do with these movies, we jump around, and I got notes here. I noticed that. I wonder if this is a reference to Batman Begins. There's the bit where when Bruce walks in, he's got the ballet chick, and he sort of like crashes the party between Dent and Rachel, and he's like, "Oh, we should put some tables together." And Dent's like, "I don't know if they'll let us." And he goes, "Oh, they should. I own the place." Yeah, and I thought, I wonder if that's the restaurant that he bought in Batman Begins.
Yeah, I figured it's like it's the same kind of hotel / building area of like, I own the
I'm
place.
setting some new rules about the pool area.
Or like how many?
That's the same place. Yeah.
Or it's like how many hotels and restaurants has he just slipped a $1 billion check into? Like, I'll buy this one and this one and this one. Meanwhile, he's punching criminals at nighttime and bats are nocturnal.
I think my favorite movie in all of my favorite moment in the whole movie is actually the bit between Joker and Two-Face once Harvey is now Two-Face.
That's a great
just seeing those two talking to each other, and when Harvey's now, proper Two-Face, and he's like, I took your little plan and I turned it on itself.
That's a great impression. I've never heard that. That's a great impression.
I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. I just do things.
I just do things. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's definitely my favorite moment. You got a favorite moment?
All that summer, by the way. I quoted Joker all summer. Like I'll be sitting at breakfast. I'll just be like, "Why so serious, mother?" And then like she'll smack me like, "Boy," I'm like, "Sorry." Me and my trying to quote the Joker here. Like I'll have like a plastic toy knife and be like, I remember I wanted to be the Joker that year for Halloween, but they ran out of Joker masks, and so I was like, I was Batman. I was like a black Batman, black little chubby Batman, 8 years old. I'm Batman. Yeah. No, but my favorite moment. There's too many to name.
Yeah,
the one that sticks
it's just
up,
an endless series of great moments.
It really is. I feel like the one that sticks out to me most, and I think of what's the scene that I remember most from Dark Knight, besides the ending, is the interrogation scene. Like that, not even the whole thing, just the moment Gordon's walking out and he's just like, "Oh, got bad cop routine," and Gordon's like, "Not exactly." Light goes on, Batman's behind him, slams his head on the table.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Apparently, that was the first scene that Christian Bale and Heath Ledger had together too.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo. That's a
never start with the head. They get all fuzzy and they can't feel the next. See what I mean?
And I think it works is you kind of feel the disconnection there of Batman and Joker. They clearly is that the first scene that they've met? They've meet, right? Supposedly, the characters
face to face. Yeah. Oh no, wait. No, they don't, because they meet earlier with the "Then you're gonna love me."
Yeah. There you wanted me. Here I am. Yeah. That whole and I tell you, I like the Batman voice. I will give you a argument for Rises. Rises gets a little honky. Where's that dragon? He sounds like Stallone, like mixed with Schwarzenegger. So it's like I'll give you that, but I think Dark Knight does where are they? I love
Rachel.
that.
Rachel.
Rachel. Yeah, How It Should Have Ended is a great video on Dark Knight, by the way. And like the whole exchange of Batman and Joker, going back to the dinner party scene where he's like, "Let her go." Very poor choice of words, and like just drops there. It's like
I love
Christopher
that
Nolan so perfectly captured the essence of the comic book characters without having it feel like you're reading a comic.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this movie stand up among other, like, I know people that don't like the Marvel stuff. I know people that don't like, Man of Steel and some of the other Batman stuff. But when I say Dark Knight, they're like, "Oh yeah, I like that one," because it just feels like a movie that happens to have Batman in it. And I think that's the big compliment I can give it is.
And
so, yeah.
Another reason why it's so great, and I never thought I was going to say this, but Dark Knight's a little bit like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's got some elements in there like it.
Well, because Steven Spielberg, because like with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the whole like selling point, as we all know, is they're going to put cartoons in with actual, proper humans.
And that epic scene with Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. Man,
it's the first time they ever appear on screen together. Yeah. outside of fan fiction, of course. But but Spielberg with that, like when
Almost
they
that
were,
water in my mic. Thank you.
well, Spielberg in that, he said to them, he's like, you know, this whole thing of like the cartoon and all that, yeah, integrating cartoon, that's great. He goes, but we need more than that. We actually need like a good detective story as well under that. And it's kind of the same with The Dark Knight, because for many people, just it being Batman and the Joker is enough. But The Dark Knight, even if it wasn't Batman and Joker, there were other people, it'd still be a really good detective story.
Yeah, like
And
if it was just about
so
a crazy
intricate.
murderer going around robbing banks, and this guy had to, this detective had to stop him.
Yeah.
That's a really cool
How he
episode.
announces
of, like,
the
Law and
crimes
Order.
ahead of time, to
Yeah.
challenging them to catch him. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
which
it's
is
like
exactly
it's kind of Zodiac in its way, kind of like a reverse Zodiac. But well, in a sense, I don't know, it's a stretch, but whatever. Like
it's-
it's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I've talked.
Well,
about it.
it's just I'm going through some of my favorite scenes of the movie, and that scene with when Two-Face first wakes up and he's in the hospital, and like there's this kind of slowly growing ambient kind of ringing
Yeah.
when he first wakes up, and he finds the coin, and then he flips it over,
And
and
it's
half
all
of it's
charred.
burned. So he gets me all choked up, and then, like he tears, he rips the mask off, and it's just like he's like freaking out, and he's screaming, he's crying his eyes out. I'm like, man, that scene is what helps me swallow the transformation of Two-Face, because that
Yeah.
for me is all I know. I'm like, oh yeah, he's lost it. But what didn't work for me, and this is maybe the one thing I can't, seems off to me every time I watch it now, is the scene right when Gordon gets quote unquote killed and
Yeah.
Harvey gets into the ambulance with that one guy. There's no precedent for him acting that way, I think, with anybody. We've never seen him act
Well,
that way with anybody.
I think like at that point, like he wasn't planning to steal the ambulance. It's only because he sees the Rachel Dawes thing
Yeah,
that he
oh,
flips out, because they established that once you threaten Rachel, he'll just flip out.
Okay.
You know, but
yeah,
so I think he just got in
sound
the
like a stretch to
ambulance
me.
because he's like, tell me about the Joker. But then he's like, oh my god, Rachel, screw this, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And he just takes the guy.
Which
yeah,
begs another question: How did Rachel get kidnapped?
Well, because the remember, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Like when he's asking the cops, he's like, who picked up Rachel? Because one of the cops picked her up or something to take her home, but she never made it home or something.
Was it? Oh yeah, that's right. It was Ramirez. Because remember, because he's talking to Maroney in the car, which is another great scene. He's like,
actually, with that scene, like just before Maroney's about to get in the car, you see his bodyguard. He like opens the door. Maroney gets in, and then just before the camera moves away,
Yes,
you see
I got
this
it.
arm reach around and grab the guy and just pull him just out of frame.
Yes.
That's Two-Face. Because he gets
I
in the
caught that
car and
for
you're
the-
like, how did he
yeah.
get in the car with nobody noticing? But you can
I
just
caught it
see
for
it
the
in the corner.
first time on Saturday. I was so surprised. I'm like, 8 years, 8 or like 6 or 8 years, and I'm still catching things. Really, it was like, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that's good. And
But
then he's like,
the bit with the coin where he wakes up and he flips the coin. Did you take that as, I always thought it's kind of like he wants to know whether Rachel survived or not, so it's kind of like he's asking the coin, and when he turns it and it's charred, he sort of goes, oh no, she's dead. Did you sort of take it as that?
I looked at it as kind of more. I thought that was more him kind of like feeling like fate finally caught up to him, because his whole thing with the coin is that he makes his own luck, and the coin was always double-sided because no matter what, he always knew what the coin was going to be.
He's
And
always
so-
going to do what he's going to do, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing now is that now that the coin's charred on one side, now you have a definitive heads or tails. Now there's literally nothing you can. Now you literally do not know how things are going to turn out. Which is and I think that kind of brings down the point of. Also, yeah, you can look at it as that way of kind of like what you were saying, but I looked at it as more of, wow, fate finally caught him.
Yeah.
So,
And I think, like, I heard, like, some people, like, some of my friends were like, oh, I found it hard to believe that Harvey Dent would just flip out like that. But I was like, no, it's set up. They establish it all the way through the movie. Like, when Rachel gets threatened, he flips out. Like, when that guy tries to shoot him in the courtroom, he punches him. So we know this, he's, like,
Well,
in
we know he's
control, but
violent.
we know he's got that in him's there, but he manages to keep it under control until half his face gets burned off.
Rachel's in that same office that Gordon works in. so we know that they work together. So it makes sense that whenever Harvey brings up the fact that Maroney's got guys near Rachel in Gordon's department, he starts to get a bit more hostile in his tone when he's like, I've investigated guys for infernal affairs that are all over with the mob, and you can tell that there's something there. Like whenever you mention Rachel, and that Rachel, thank God they got Maggie Gyllenhaal to play the role of Rachel, because if it was Katie Holmes, I'd be like, screw it, blow her up.
She was such a better Rachel, wasn't she?
Yeah,
so much better.
When I think of a good, that's a good, strong female character.
Yes,
she doesn't have to be. She doesn't have to be powerful and better than everybody else. All she has to, oh boy, I kind of screwed myself there for a second. We'll get to that later on in life. All she has to do, she can sit there, she can cry, she can be kidnapped. But
and you believe that she's super smart. With Katie Holmes, you never she's saying these words, but you're like, those aren't your words. But with isn't it what was her name in this? Margaret?
Maggie Gyllenhaal, yeah.
With Maggie Gyllenhaal. Yeah, when she's speaking, you're like, no, I believe you're a really smart person, She seems genuine, but what was I going to say? It'll come back to me.
Okay. I picked up some of the nuances that I got. I put some notes here. Whenever he's talking to Batman, Joker's talking to Batman in the interrogation, he says, do you take Dent or his blushing bride-to-be? I picked that up as, okay, so Joker knows a lot. Joker knows more than we think Joker ever knew, which shows that not only because no one knew that Harvey was going to marry Rachel, right? I mean, because...
Yeah, that's true. Nobody
that's
knew
my thing.
that.
That's the whole point of the letter. So that's why I'm like, so when Joker says, or his blushing bride-to-be, I'm like, Joker's got people literally everywhere, which explains why he's able to have things the way he does have them.
That's true, because even if she did mention that after she got taken, Joker wouldn't have known because he was already in prison by then. So yeah,
exactly.
How do you know that?
I'm like that line. I'm like, that's a subtle line. I'm like, okay, so he knows he's got literally his fingers in all the pies of Gotham.
Yeah. And I he shows in this, this is why I find this Joker character so interesting. And one of our listeners said, do you think Jared Leto might actually overtake Heath Ledger's performance? And I like that question so much, I actually put up a Twitter poll, which I'll check in a minute. But see, this is why I don't think Jared Leto is going to, because there's so many subtleties with the Heath Ledger performance that he plays up this whole thing of being crazy, but he's a scarily good judge of character. He could tell that something was going on between Rachel and Batman, and he doesn't even know who Batman is yet.
Yeah.
He could tell, when he first shows up and does the magic trick, and he points to the Chinese guy, and he's like, I know the squealers. That guy's a squealer. And he's totally right.
Sorry.
So he's
that kind of points back to what Nolan... Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's all right. Let's go ahead. I was done.
Well, it points back to what Nolan's theory, because Nolan has officially said that the Joker in this movie has no origin, but he has said in past interviews, he says, his theory is that Joker was kind of an ex-war vet or something like that, but with PTSD, which makes sense. He's a master strategist. He mentions soldiers being blown up, and he's that good judge of character, which you need to be in those kind of situations if you're out there in the war. That just adds to that point. Yeah, sorry.
I also heard somewhere, I can't remember where this was, but I heard that Heath Ledger also... he also sort of incorporated some stuff that he might have also been a priest or something before then, because he actually studied some of the physical movements and mannerisms of priests or whatever, and incorporated that.
I wouldn't put it past him. I'd have to go back and watch it again.
So I thought,
see if I can
if you combine the two of them, he could have been because you know how the army does have sort of chaplains in the army, don't they? So he could have been one of those guys. And that would match. He'd still have the whole strategy, but he has that religious. But that's sort of why, after he's seen so many, he's like, it's all a joke. It's all a joke, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. He's in the battle for Gotham's soul. So maybe he's I'm trying to damn Gotham and show them that they're just as rough as the rest of the world. Maybe because he's seen things in the war. But that's just a theory of who he could possibly be.
But also those army chaplain guys have to be kind of like therapists.
Yes.
Which would explain why he can pick certain types of people and read things in people. But anyway, that's just my fan theory. But
to answer the... Sorry.
I love that he kept changing the story of how he got his scars for everyone.
Oh my god!
Because that's exactly like the Joker in the comic. Even in Arkham, like when they ask him for his, they're interviewing him trying to find out who he is. It's different every time, and it's kind of like played up in the comics that maybe even he can't remember who he is anymore.
Well, I think that's a line in Killing Joke where he's like, "Hell, even I don't remember what happened to me." But it's nice to know that I'll figure it out someday. I think that's a line from the Killing Joke when he's talking to Batman. I think it's right before he gives that awesome monologue about the joke, about the two guys on the roof. And speaking of which,
but he also says to Batman in that comic, he says, just one bad day could turn everyone into me. And he says, I bet you had a bad day happen to you. Yeah. And he's right, of course. And there was a bit of that in the Dark Knight script as well.
Oh yeah. There's Killing Joke and Long Halloween and Dark Knight Returns kind of spread a lot throughout this.
To them, you're just film. A freak like me.
Yeah, like me. And he's like, tell your men they work for me, and they don't. And another great subtlety, which I picked up a while back, but Lau burns to death on that money pile, which is horrible. Which is like, wow, like he's like, I'm only burning my half, and like throws a cigar on the money. It's just like, wow, look at all that, everything burns.
And I like that he says, tell your men they work for me now, and the Russian guy's men grab him, and like they've already decided they're going to work for the Joker.
Yeah, it kind of it's like even back at the start, why they call him the Joker, and they he kind of has this mystery about them, and which is weird. And really does kind of add to what his origin could be, because he's got no fingerprints, he's got no aliases or things nothing in his pockets but knives and lint. So it's like, what was this guy before he became this guy? Which is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
When you think about it, this literally just this freak of nature that found its way into Gotham and made its way back. And Batman tried
because that's how the movie starts. It just starts where he's just standing on a corner holding the mask.
Yeah.
Car pulls up, he jumps in, you don't even know it's a Joker at that time.
Exactly.
But yeah, he just appears basically out of nothing.
He's just a freak. Yeah, which again, it really adds to the mythos of what the Joker is. That's kind of always been the Joker's thing. He just shows up to ruin Batman's day. And I think those are my favorite kind of Joker moments in the comics or even in the TV show. Like Batman will be trying to stop like Two-Face or someone from blowing up like half the city, and Joker will just be there. Joker will just be there like robbing a bank with Harley Quinn or something, or Joker will just be there trying to rob somebody or like taking on killing a baby or something, and Batman just has to punch him, put him in a body cast, and send him off to prison. And I'm just like, that's classic. And so that's why to go back and answer the Leto question, Leto's going to be able to pull off is something much more comic oriented. We're definitely going to get a much more comic book style Joker, like in the sense that Batman's not going to kill this Joker. So we could see a movie where Batman's taking on the Red Hood and Joker will just be doing something, and that could be like what Scarecrow is in the Dark Knight trilogy, where he's just there and Batman kind of has to stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because again, going back to that question of like, can Jared Leto overtake Heath Ledger? Like, obviously Jared Leto's carving it out to like, make it his own, the part. But I think I just don't know whether he'll be able to bring in that whole master of mind games kind of thing that Heath Ledger was able to do. And even that he is so good at mind games is kind of camouflage in his character. So whether he can match Heath Ledger in that regard, I think will be whether or not he's actually going to topple Heath Ledger. Actually, you go ahead and talk. I'm going to have a look on Twitter, see what the poll said.
Okay, well, I wrote down some more subtleties that I've got here. Rachel dies in a warehouse at 250 52nd Street.
Yep.
Which I thought was kind of a nice touch, because we break it up, it's the number 2, 50, 50, and second.
25, 52,
so, so when I heard that, I was like, hey, that's... I don't know, I thought that was a nice touch Nolan did. Let's see, we talked about... I guess we can talk about... we'll talk about this. The Joker, laughing when Batman drops him, or, whenever
that's right,
Batman throws him off the building. And he's just laughing his butt off. He's like, yeah, I win, yay! And then he just catches me just like, You just couldn't let me go, could you? Which is another great line between these two. And Batman's just trying to show Joker, it's like, no, this city is not going to be like you. It is full of people it's full of people ready to believe in good. Yeah, and it's like, and he's like, he just showed them that with those people on the boat, and Joker's just like,
oh, I love the bit where the criminal like tricks him into giving it and just chucks it out the window.
Yeah,
I love that bit so much.
But what I love more is the look on the guard's face when he knows that there's nothing. That'd be me. I'd be like, oh, well, come on, man, give it to me.
And then the criminal has that look of disgust as he turns away. Yeah. I'll do what you should have did 10 minutes ago. Just chucks it out. Yeah.
To be fair, I'd be the one guy that blows up the other boat, like either boat. If I'm like, give me the trigger. Give me the trigger. We're gonna do this proper. I don't know. I'm just saying, if a bunch of terrorists from Guantanamo Bay were put on a boat and shipped off from Manhattan, and I'm on a boat with a bunch of other people and babies are on this boat, I'm blowing up the boat of terrorists.
Oh yeah, they're so blown up.
Duh, no, there's no way that people don't have the guts, because people think irrationally. There's no way people don't blow someone up, and they'll feel bad about it later, but come on. Anyways.
I got the poll here.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it possible Jared Leto might topple Heath Ledger's Joker? 54% says yes.
Whoa.
46% said no, so it's very close, but people are backing that Jared Leto can actually do something special.
Well, I
don't think he will.
He can do something special. I don't think he can. Trying to say that, I don't think he doesn't need to do something better than Heath Ledger, though. No. That's like saying, does Ben Affleck's Batman movie have to be as good as The Dark Knight? No, it doesn't have to be.
I don't think he'll topple him, but he might be able to match him in a different way.
Yeah, he'll be able to do something that makes himself stand out in the same way Jack Nicholson made something stand out from, that we've seen before, the animated Joker, like Mark Hamill. Yeah.
Well, I thought as I was putting up the things, I thought I'm going to have yes, no, and I thought maybe I should put third option of like nobody might equal him, but I thought no, I can't do that because then everyone will just click that.
Everyone will click nobody might equal him.
You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You have to decide.
Unless
you
you're at a wedding.
Sort of pregnant.
Unless you're at a wedding, in which case things kind of bad for you. Oh boy. Da, 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 da. I like to think that during the time code, someone skips to the Dark Knight and they have no idea what we're talking about, but they're on Game of Thrones to where someone is pregnant and they're just like, gah! Now I know. I'm like, well, it's been out for 3 years. Calm down.
What did you think about the bit where there's the guy Reese who figures out who Batman is? Because that greasy little guy who goes through the archives and he finds the blueprint of the Batman. To be fair,
that'd be me. I'd be like, so I've been going through some files, and I found that there have been 4 tanks missing and 300 pounds of body armor. I'd like $10 million a year, plus bonuses. That'd be me. I'd be like, Mr. Fox, and he's like, and your plan is Batman? I'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, yeah. I mean, I could just go on TV. I don't see why he got so intimidated by him. I'd be like, yeah.
And
yeah,
it's
my
weird
plan is to blackmail him.
Because Bruce Wayne, not Batman, saves him with the Lamborghini, but Morgan Freeman never actually told him about that Reese knew who he is, so it's kind of weird that he would even know to protect him.
I feel like he knew.
Oh no, he was on TV, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, of course he was. Yeah. Okay. Damn you, Christopher Nolan! You tied up every loose end. I can't nitpick this movie
until we go on later into his career, and some things are a little. Also, my one question in Dark Knight, I'll give you this.
Hang on, I was just going to say, but with that character though, Reese, essentially he's just there to serve that purpose of he was basically to represent that the people decide to back Batman and not to give in the end. That he doesn't name Batman. But I actually thought they were saving him to maybe be a villain in the next one. That maybe they turn that guy into Hugo Strange or something.
Really? I would think more of a not a Riddler, but a Hugo Strange. He didn't seem like the Hugo Strange type to me.
No, not really. But I mean, Hugo Strange's whole thing is he figures out who the Bruce Wayne is Batman, and then he tries to sell it to all the criminal underworld, and Joker buys the identity and burns it without reading it, and then kills.
They could kind of, I think, they could kind of do like that.
To know who Joker is.
There's an episode of the animated series where a guy thinks he killed the Batman, and so all the criminals think that he's killed the Batman, and so like the Joker like tries to kill him because he thinks he's killed Batman. I think maybe he could do something like that if he ever wanted to use that character again. It is a nice touch when Bruce Wayne's like, playing with that playboy dumb aspect. Hey, you think I should go to the hospital? You don't watch a lot of news, do you? That's a great line. It's like, but what was I? Oh yeah, Joker and the bombs. That's my one question with this movie.
Yeah.
How did Joker know to put it? How did he know the timer on the bombs? Was that, unless that just wasn't Joker's doing, but how did he know to put a timer on the bombs? How did he know things were going to play out the way he did exactly? That's my one, that's my one question. I don't think they ever tied up.
Yeah.
Unless he literally had a walkie-talkie in the cops, unless someone literally stuck a walkie-talkie underneath the table while he was being interrogated, I don't see how he would know. Unless he just got lucky and it's just like, well, now's my chance to blow everything up.
Are you talking about with Harvey and Rachel blowing up, or with the hospital blowing up later?
Harvey and Rachel blowing up. Like, how did he know to put a timer on the bombs? Because things had to play out exactly the way they did to know that he would only be able to catch one of them in time. So, like, how did he?
I always got the impression that it wasn't just the timer. There was also sort of like a trigger thing that as soon as you take like Harvey off his seat, or as soon as you open the door, it'll blow the other one up.
You really think? Well, because Harvey's blew up anyways. Like, Harvey's blew up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, right, because theirs blew up, I guess, simultaneously, and Harvey just happened to be out. But since there was fire dripping from his suit, the fire caught to his face. So my thing is that, I'm not saying
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
It's a nitpick. It's a nitpick of all nitpicks. But
hey, the timer on the bomb in Dark Knight Rises is even worse.
I can't defend.
Why does it even have a timer? We'll get into that when we get to it.
I don't even know. How do you fix chiropractic by shoving a spine back in its place? That's how chiropractic works. But I still really enjoyed that movie.
Apart from that, though, it's totally solid, and it's like, yeah, like even the
Rises
whole
Rises or the
no,
Dark
I mean
Knight?
Dark Knight.
Okay, I was gonna say
Dark Knight Rises is not solid at all. It's Swiss cheese, is what it is.
It's Swiss cheese. It's the Force Awakens of Batman movies.
Yeah. But like, there's that whole bit where Harvey Dent turns himself in, and it turns out that he and Batman had prearranged that, and the Commissioner Gordon as well, because all three of them had set that out to catch Joker. So you don't realize that when you first watch it, but the fact that Gordon's driving the truck. And Harvey says to Rachel before he goes in that...
Oh my God, you're right!
The three of
Gordon
them
is driving the truck.
Yeah.
Gordon... Whoa! I just realized
so
that.
they must have figured that out when they were all on the roof together or what have you. So, see, it's intricate. It's so... Yeah, even there's bits where you're like, how did he know to go there? But watch it again, it's explained, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great scene, by the way, that chase scene. When how cool is it that they set the fire truck on fire? That's a great little touch. The Joker sets fire to the fire truck. I'm like, slaughter is the best medicine. It's like laughter with an S is just slaughter, which is kind of creepy. Just little touches like that. Like, that's cool. That's clever. That's clever. That's smart. That's well done. That's well done. Man, bravo to you guys. Yeah. Good movie. One of my all-time favorites.
I also thought, because some people say, I think after the first Batman v Superman trailer came out with the whole "Will you bleed" thing, people were like, "Oh, that's the first time we've seen Batman with the white eyes, like in the comics and the cartoon." No, in the Dark Knight he has.
Yeah, he's got him in Dark Knight. He's kind of got the whole
the sonar, and he's scanning the building, looking for everyone. So
which is a good kind of little shot when Batman's looking around. We see Joker jump behind him, smack him with the pole.
Yeah,
and that's another thing I was going to bring up. The
sonar version of the sonar picture of Batman's face, Joker's face going running at him.
Yeah,
that looked really freaky.
The action in this film is done a lot better than Batman Begins, and I noticed that right away. Right away when we see him fighting people, it's still jumpy and cutty, but you can at least note it. You can at least see that something has happened on screen, as opposed to Batman Begins, where it's just spinning, jump cut, excitement, and then people on the ground well, I guess they got beat up. But with this one, okay, Batman's clearly punching this guy in the face, or Batman's clearly hitting this guy in the throat or something. Things are actually happening. Or it's cool when he bends the guy's gun at the start of the movie. The guy's got the gun, he's just elbows him in the face, and oh, that's so Batman.
And he's got that thing where he starts cutting through the side of the truck.
Yeah.
I like that he's constantly upgrading his suit all the time, yeah.
Yeah, and he's I want to be able to turn my head. That was a nice little touch of Because if you go back and watch Dark Knight, at the start when he's in the bank vault, he looks uncomfortable, and I guess I don't know if that's intentional or not. I guess it makes sense that Batman would want to get a new suit, that way he can turn around. Which is little touches like that. I really, but the finale, like not I don't mean like the Joker finale. I mean like the last like 6 minutes of the movie are
with Dent, where he's going to shoot the kid, and
well, even like
and
like,
the music, the music
that
builds, and you're like, oh man, this is bad.
Yeah, and then like he flips the coin and you don't want to hurt the boy, Harvey. And it's like, man, like the whole thing, like you can tell like Harvey's just gone, and it's so tragic. Like that's so sad. And then Batman just chucks him off a cliff or chucks him off the side of a building.
Yeah.
And that's like the one time I've watched this.
At the same time, he's like, I don't kill.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Unless I'm saving a kid's life by doing it. So.
That's the first thing I was like, okay, I'm okay with Batman killing this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
there's never a better reason to push a guy off a cliff. So.
Like, unless you've got like I honestly don't know what else he probably could have just like backcloth the gun out of his arm, but then again, would have been fast enough. It's like, comic
batarang in the eye.
Yeah, battering to the eye. Are you Adam? Have you seen that?
Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, have you seen the animated movie Dark Knight Returns?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's a great. Have you lost your mind? Instead of battering through his eye, no more, and like starts punching through the mirrors. Oh, that's what I want to see.
Be still, my beating heart.
All the people I've killed by letting you live, I never kept count. I did, I know, and I love you for it. Those are all great lines. And then Batman knocks him off the cliff. Harvey dies. And if you notice, the way they fall down to the ground, I know I just picked this up. It kind of looks like the Dark Knight and the White Knight laying side by side, kind of like a yin and yang kind of thing. The way they're positioned.
That's right. Because I saw this 4 times in cinemas, and it wasn't until the second viewing that I picked up that Harvey Dent is referred to as Gotham's White Knight a couple of times. Yeah. So you got the White Knight and the Dark Knight. Yeah.
It's very much two sides of the same coin, if you will.
Exactly.
Soundbite in of the CSI Miami glasses. Yeah, two sides of the same coin. Yeah, and it's like and I've heard issues with the movie's ending that people have. When Batman's like, "No, I killed those people. I did these things because that's what has to happen." And I'm like, yeah. And people are like, "Why don't you blame the Joker?" And
I didn't think of that at the time, did you?
No, absolutely not. And I remember because I saw
probably a deleted scene in Dark Knight Rises, but like you could just blame the Joker, and he's like, "Oh man."
I don't think he could have. I really don't think he could have.
Yeah,
because I think that would have proved the Joker right. In that, when times are tough, you turn to villainy to do the right thing instead of. I think villainizing Batman, because Batman is a symbol for both the good and bad of Gotham. It shows that you have to result to being so violent to try and whip Gotham back into shape. So, but to suddenly say, you know what, Harvey didn't do this, the Joker did, even though the Joker didn't do it, would suddenly, I think, prove, Joker right that the city is as bad as he thinks it is. I think that would negate the whole ending of the Joker fight. So, Batman's like, I killed those people, I did those things. Gordon's like, no, you can't. He's like, I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be. Call it in. And everyone's like, and the kids wake up, and he's a kid, the 8-year-old meals are like, Batman, where are you going? Batman, where are you going? And like, why are you running, Dad? I'm getting choked up, and I'm sitting on my couch Saturday.
So that we can chase him.
Oh my God! And Hans Zimmer scores build in. It's like he's a silent guardian, a watch for protector, and he literally rides his bike off in the sunset. A dark night cuts to black. Oh man, that's how you end a movie, man. I gotta watch that again. It's a great movie.
Let me ask you semi-serious question now. Well, it is a serious question. How much do you think Heath Ledger dying actually helped the movie? Because there were a lot of people. There certainly was like an extra buzz around it because everyone's like, this is Heath Ledger's last performance before he died, and it's his best one. Like, if Heath Ledger had lived, do you think it would have made that much of a difference?
I think if Heath Ledger hadn't died, I think there would have been some serious complications with him as a person. So like because he ended up turning to drugs and things as a result of his.
I was just talking about the movie.
Oh, you mean like as a movie? Well, I mean, I was kind of using that as a way to kind of get myself to the movie.
Go on.
And I feel like people would actually kind of be turned off from seeing the film because Heath Ledger died in January of 2008, which is like 6 or 7 months before the movie comes out. If Heath Ledger hadn't died, I believe there would been serious complications to his health as a person, and I think he would have gone down a dark path that no one wants to be on, kind of like a Philip Seymour Hoffman or Robin Williams. Yeah. I don't think he would have taken his life like suicide or anything like that, but I think that he would have gone down a dark path that I didn't want to see him go down. And I think that would have turned some people off the movie. I think he probably still would have gotten a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I'm not sure he would have won, considering the fact that The Dark Knight didn't get nominated for Best Picture that year.
Really?
No, but I think that's why they went to 10 nominees the next year, because they started letting in more genre films. You know, like a lot of the Pixar stuff got nominated. I think they nominated Inception the year after that. So they started going and letting in more genre stuff that they stopped doing for like a few years after Lord of the Rings was over. And so Dark Knight was nominated and people gave an uproar. But I think they gave Heath Ledger the Oscar to say, this guy clearly deserved it. He literally put his life into his performance. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think the movie would have. I think the movie
it still would have done well.
Yeah,
but
I think
there certainly was. It sort of put it on an extra level, knowing that this was his last performance and his best one. And Heath Ledger, I think, like I mean, most actors, like, sorry you went the way you did, Heath Ledger, but I think most actors, if they were going to go, they would want to go like that, where it's
absolutely
at the peak of their career and everyone loves him, and he'll forever be remembered from his performance in The Dark Knight. He'll always be remembered in the best light because of that. So if you are going to go as an actor, that's the best way to go.
It's, you know, when someone says name the best comic book movie performance, people automatically jump to you. To the point, and it's getting to the point where when people think of name some of the best movie performances, and you're on that list, like when people are mentioning Marlon Brando in The Godfather, Robert De Niro and Godfather 2, Ray Liotta, Goodfellas, naming some of the greatest actors out there, and you're put on that list, you know you've done something right, and I think that's a great way to go out with your career, even though as sad as it was, the way he did go out. But I was far too young to understand anything that was happening back then. I was 8 years old. I had no idea what drugs were. So all I knew is that they were bad, according to my school. Drugs are bad. I'm like, all right, I'll do them then. Fair enough.
There were never any drugs in my school, I don't think. Or if they were, I never saw them, because I think a lot of it has to do with which friends you hang out with. But yeah.
I mean, there are kids that smoke weed in my restroom as I speak. So, yeah. Like I'll walk by and I'll see kids walk by and they got red eyes. I'm like, well, that's too bad. That's too bad you're going down that path.
I must have grew up in a very boring neighborhood.
Oh, you're the kids that broke.
Boring, like white community in suburban Australia. There was nothing.
Well, you guys broke into
gangs,
school.
Nothing cool like that. It was
you guys broke into school. What do you expect? I mean, exactly.
I did actually break into school. Yes, that's true.
Exactly. But if I were to do that, I would be a felony. That's
a story for another time, unless I've already told it.
You've told it twice.
Have I? I don't remember telling it. Oh, whatever. Well, I don't need to tell it again then. I'll go through my notes here. The only other thing I really got was that the scene where Batman gets Zhao in China. I think that might be. It's very rare to see Batmaning outside of Gotham. Yeah, that's probably I think at least in movies, that's got to be the only time we've ever seen it. Except maybe in Batman v Superman, he'll probably do Batmaning in Metropolis.
Well, we'll see him. I mean, like we've seen him do Batman-ing, quote unquote. We've seen Bruce Wayne outside of Gotham, but we haven't seen like Batman be Batman outside. Like we see it a lot in the comics and stuff. In terms of the movies, no, absolutely not. Is it going to be weird to see Batman in space? Like when we get to that point, is it going to be weird for you to see Batman in space?
It's hard to say. I still got to see, whether Ben Affleck is doing an okay job or So it's hard to tell.
Like I'm talking like Watchtower, sitting up there with John John's kind of Batman. That's what I'm like. It works in the comics because every time it cuts to Batman, you feel like it's just a guy in a suit among these guys, but he's smarter than every single one of them, and that's why he's there. I feel like they're going to need to convey that in this movie really well. Also, in the Super Bowl ad for Batman v Superman, the Super Bowl ad, you can clearly see, and Mr. Sunday Movies pointed this out, just the rage. He looks so mad in that ad. Like, I don't know why. He looks like someone just farted in his face and they yelled action, and he's trying not to break character. Or
it did bother me in that where he's like, you might see some local famous people, and it shows Batman symbol. I'm like, is he famous? I think he's more infamous, isn't he?
Well,
I don't think people would want to see Batman, because if you see him, he's probably punching you in the face.
It's meant to be satirical. I think it's a satire, clearly.
Yeah.
Like, they're clearly not meant to be taken this seriously. Until the ending where they have that walk towards each other, which is pretty cool. I had one more note that I had here, which is the Hans Zimmer score. Yeah. Like, Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard, they really... Yeah, like that is my acapella movie Mania. Acapella.
I challenge you to do the Joker theme. No, the Joker theme, it just continues and it just builds and builds, but it never really sort of peaks. It just keeps going.
Well, I mean, it does like in a certain scene whenever like when what's his name? Gamble thinks that they got the Joker, and he's like, $10. He's like, Dad, that's a 500,000, and then Joker comes up and he's just like, how about $1 million? That they do kind of that music cue. But then again, you're right. If you listen to the actual track, it's very slow, methodical. Like, you feel like this guy's just like, ugh.
But they actually used that same effect with the Bat Pod, because that whole thing where it sounds like it's always building, but it never seems to peak. It just keeps going. Like, that's hard to create that effect, because you think you'd eventually get it, but they managed to do it. And they did the same thing with the Bat Pod, because they didn't want there to be gears. Yeah. So as he accelerates, and you listen when he's moving, it does. It just keeps building and building and building and building, but it never really breaks.
Yeah, it does. It keeps going. Yeah, I remember my mom kept complaining about the Batmobile. She's like, "Why are the wheels so big?" I'm like, "It came from the Batmobile, Mom." She's like, "It looks stupid." I'm like,
and it's so that he can drive into a wall and drive up it and flip around.
That was such a cool.
How cool was that when he does that? I love that.
When he busts through the alley and the wheels spin. Oh my god! And like fires on the tires
sideways. That was so cool.
I can't tell you how many times I sat there with my Power Rangers dinosaur motorcycle and my black Power Ranger and my dad's toy pickup truck and tried recreating that scene when Batman flips the truck from The Dark Knight. I sat there for hours using like string and tape. I was just many countless hours trying to make up my own Batman movie just from that scene alone. Like that scene right there. Like he flips the truck, he missed, and like the whole truck flips over, and then like Bat Pod flips over, and he gets back down. Every time I watch this scene, I just have to clap. I'm just like, wow, bravo, Nolan, you pulled it off, man. That's.
Yeah.
Oh,
and when he flipped the truck, he actually flipped a truck there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
They created they put like a thing under it to make it bounce up, and if you watch it, you can see there's like a jet of steam that shoots out from under it, from like a rocket they attached as it came around.
Yeah, and you can see like and what a great when Joker gets out of the truck and like he falls over and like shoots himself in the foot, literally. He rolls over like he has a little drunken grumble like and shoots over the foot and like rolls over and gets back up. And
did he actually shoot himself in the foot? I didn't.
Well,
I never noticed
that. He shot close to himself and he falls over. Like I feel like he knocked himself over. He jumped himself. Like he got a little jumpy.
Would have been good if like he like crawls out of the truck. He's like ugh. And then once he's already out, the airbag deploys.
Yeah,
he looks at it and he goes, "That's not funny."
That's not funny. That's not funny. And he's like trying to walk like, "Come on, I want you to do it. I want you to do it." And like then Batman's like, hit me. Oh, and have you seen How It Should Have Ended of The Dark Knight?
Yeah, I think I have. I can't remember too much.
They do that scene. It's like, hit me, like, and Batman's like runs him over. It's like, what about your role? He's like, didn't kill him. His Joker a full body cast. Oh man. Oh, that's great.
Well, I think in the DVD they had special editions talking about the Bat Pod, because they did actually build a proper Bat Pod that actually functions, and the guy who drove it, he was talking about. He says it's really difficult because you'd think it's just a motorbike, but it's not. He's like, it's not a motorbike, it's not a car, it's not kind of anything, it's its own thing. So he had to drive it for a long time to get used to the feel of it.
Yeah.
But they said it worked really well because the tires were so thick. When they turn, it'd create this wind tunnel. So like the cape would just sort of flow and look really cool. Okay. And it wasn't something they intended. It just ended up looking really cool. So.
All right, so Bandit. So we're pushing 2.5 hours here.
Yeah,
but how about, since we're talking about The Dark Knight, let's answer some of the listener questions from The Dark Knight. For you guys that don't know, every week on Facebook, on Movie Mania podcast, we ask for you guys to ask some listener questions. Sometimes it'll be about the movie we're watching. Sometimes it'll be about any random film or comic topic. So let's see. Sean Alexander asks, favorite line from The Dark Knight?
Swear to me. No, that doesn't happen.
Swear. Wrong movie.
No, I know it's kind of silly, but I like the bit, the size of a tangerine.
Kevin Smith loves that line. Like every time he mentions it, he's just like,
every
like
time
the
I
end
think
of
of Michael Caine, I think that, okay, the size of a tangerine.
That's a good line. I guess I'll go with you. And it's like, some men just want to watch the world burn. Like, that's what I'd like. Like, I can use that to describe so many things. Like, whenever I see, like, whenever someone's just like, my friend, I think I upset my friend once. I called him out on cheating on a test. And so he took my pencil. And you know, some people break a pencil in half. Some people break the lead in your pencil, like at the top. My friend came in and broke the lead inside the pencil. Like he bent the pencil to where like you can only hear the lead crack, but not the actual wood around the lead itself. So when I sharpened my pencil, the lead would keep breaking off. And I turned to my friend and I said, some men just want to watch the world burn. I'm like, you are the worst kind of person. That's crafty, though. I got to try that now from now on. Yeah, but that's probably my favorite line from the movie. Some men just want to watch the world burn. But there are a lot of great lines in that movie.
It's the best way, like that whole story he tells and everything is like the best way to sort of summarize what the Joker is.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he's always like, I'm a dog chasing cars. I just want to watch the world burn. But on the other hand, that bank robbery at the beginning was planned really well.
Yeah.
But then he's like, I don't have a plan, but
that's the Joker. That's the Joker.
That's why I think he's so good because you're like,
and then at the end,
is he
he's
crazy?
Like,
is he not? You don't really know.
Bruce is like, how did you forever catch that guy? It's like, we burned down the forest.
Yeah, and that's essentially what he does with the sonar. Is like burning down Gotham to find him. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's see. Well, we answered you and David's question.
I'm on the Twitter page here having a look while you're talking. So,
do we have any? Well, Liam Twahig asks maybe the most important question on here, and it's Harvey Dent. Can we trust him?
I believe in Harvey Dent.
I believe in Harvey Dent. It's just a great Harvey Dent. Can we trust him?
You can, just don't make fun of his girlfriend. He doesn't do that well.
No. And keep away.
He'll put a gun to your head. I wouldn't. You don't think I will?
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't make fun of his girlfriend and don't steal his coin. He'll not like that very much at all.
Okay. Ben Billington. He asks, what Batman villain would you love to see done right in a new live-action Batman film? Done right, he says. I
feel like we talked about that a different time, but I think I remember saying something. I'd like to see Clayface.
Yeah, well, I think when he says done right, I think a movie like one that's already been done.
Oh, Mr. Freeze.
Really, I went Riddler.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the Riddler, like especially like going back and watching Dark Knight after seeing kind of like trying to solve a crime before it happens kind of thing. I think a Riddler, like a movie about like Batman trying to solve all of Riddler's crimes, like you get Neil Patrick Harris as the Riddler and you get him kind of like to be like as creepy as he was in Gone Girl, and you can do some really clever stuff with that. But that's just my thought.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
I'd go with Mr. Freeze just because his backstory is amazing and he's so much better than what killed the dinosaur. The Ice
Age! No, but Heart of Ice.
That really hurt the character
Batman animated series.
Yeah.
Heart of Ice.
Man, talk about that gave me the feels. It got me just right.
That's like
here,
it's like Doc Ock and Spider-Man 2. It's like Doc Ock and Spider-Man 2. It's very much a sympathetic villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have any questions on Twitter? Or no?
Only one with the Batman, which actually it's kind of not even. But he says, "Who's the superior Batman, Michael Keaton or Adam West?" So he didn't include Christian Bale, so it's kind of not. But Michael Keaton or Adam West? I'm still going with Adam West because his Batman on the TV show saved the comic book. So if we didn't have Adam West Batman, we would never have the comic book Batman, which means we wouldn't have got any of the others. So I'm going to go with good old Adam West. Plus, he does the Bat Touche. That
sounds a lot like Jedi Rocks from Return of the Jedi. Be careful.
He does those Pulp Fiction things with a finger across the eyes. He did that first. Yeah. But
how cool is that line? I think it's in the first Batman movie when like that guy's trying to talk mess to Batman. Batman's just like, "Shut up, you're going to jail." Like he just knocks the guy out, knocked his teeth out or whatever. How cool is the scene when he's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "A Batman," and like headbutts him, whatever. I'm like, the Michael Keaton has some great moments. You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts. Yeah, I really liked Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah, but Adam West is great. I'll go Michael Keaton though. I like what he did.
Yeah. Should we move into like full questions because there's a couple here that aren't related to Batman?
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Ryan Williamson. He asked, "What is your favorite Marvel movie?"
Winter Soldier for me, easy.
Okay, so I was asking you, do you want to go MCU strictly, or do you want to expand out? I was just asking, just as a quick question.
Oh, okay, yeah. You probably like Guardians of the Galaxy best, yeah?
Yes, that is my favorite. It's my favorite Marvel movie. Which is weird considering the fact that Dark Knight's my favorite all-time movie, but like, I'm not the biggest fan of Winter Soldier, which is weird, right? Which is weird because those tones were so similar. I just think Winter Soldier feels so little Marvel to me, but Dark Knight feels so Batman. I don't know, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
Which is weird because Winter Soldier is very much a Captain America comic on like literally on the big screen, like page for page. Going back and reading that storyline, I think the Guardians of the Galaxy is that movie's wonderful in every way possible.
It is,
I love Guardians of the Galaxy. That ending gets me every time. When he opens up the note from his mom and My Little Star-Lord, like, oh, that's where he gets it from. Then he opens up the package and it's Awesome Mix Volume 2. Yeah. And he puts it in and it's Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I get welled up every time I see that scene. Because Chris Pratt's face really sells that. He's a look of just like, aw. And everyone's just like, aw. It's just like, man. Okay. Let's see.
I got one here. Team Antipack and Antibac said on the Twitter page, choose one. Only watch old movies or movies pre-2016, or only watch new movies 2016 onwards.
Only watch new movies.
Yeah, so you got to pick one. So either for the rest of your life you can only watch movies made after 2016, or you can only watch movies before 2016.
Yeah, I just did. Only watch new movies. But there's no way I'm not seeing Star Wars Episode 8. But that's not happening.
You couldn't go back and watch, one of the old classics.
I can't go back and watch Casablanca or Shawshank Redemption or The Dark Knight. That's awesome. I've already seen them multiple times. It's all in my head. I can replay it. I can listen to the music. I can look up scenes on YouTube. But I can't go and watch. I cannot miss Star Wars Episode 8. I can't let that happen. So, sorry.
We'll see. I'd probably pick only watch the old movies because eventually they, if enough time passes, you get to see it anyway. If you're only watching new movies, like you can never ever go back. But if you only watch, you can never go back and see anything you haven't seen. But if you're only watching the old movies, you wait long enough, you'll get to see everything. You'll just miss the hype.
Your mentality is that if you wait long enough, the new movies will become old movies. But what you're saying is that I can't go back and watch the movies that have come out in 2016. Are you saying that I can only watch them once? Is that what you're telling me right now? Are you changing the rules of the question?
I'll level with you. I don't really understand the conditions of this. I'm just picking the opposite one for the sake of conversation.
Well, he said...
But I would only watch stuff in the future too, but...
I mean,
Just trying
yeah,
to
because
spice it up.
I can't. There's so many movies coming out that I need to see. Like, I
Yeah.
need to see
I would
Scorsese's
not-
new movie.
All right,
come
yeah,
on.
all right, I agree. I would not. Like, I was just trying to like pick the opposite side for the sake of
No,
conversation.
I respect your devil's advocate argument. Okay, let's see. I think there's one more here.
There's no way I'm not seeing Star Wars Episode 8. There's no way I'm not seeing Batman v Superman.
Thank you.
Citizen Kane can eat my dust. I don't care about that.
Exactly. Like I can
Black
I can
and white
slide
movies, you
past
can all
Civil
go to
War.
hell.
Like I could slide past Civil War maybe, but there's no way I'm skipping like Black Panther or Infinity Wars. Like there's no way I'm not skipping some of these. Like
And the hype
Thor
is a big part
Ragnarok.
of the enjoyment, you know?
Huh?
And the hype is like a whole part of the enjoyment.
Exactly.
Without that,
Yeah.
what do you got? Nothing, yeah.
Yeah, you got boring. I mean, not great. You can still watch great movies, but come on. Let's see.
I got
Yeah,
a question
I think-
here that we could use to segue towards the ending of what we're going to talk about next week.
Okay.
So why don't you pick another one, then I'll do this, and then we can finish up.
Okay, so this is a pretty quick one. What is your favorite hissy sketch and favorite honest trailer? My favorite hissy sketch is Empire Strikes Back. I have a daughter too, or I have a son, Stormtroopers. I have a son, Stormtroopers. Emperor, I have a son. It's like, I have a son, light speed. And then like, Luke Skywalker jumps off and he picks him back up. He's like, where do you think you're going? I'm your father, we're going home. That kills me every time. It's so funny. Yeah. Okay.
I think my favorite one is I actually really like the one they did on Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Oh my god.
They tore that movie to shreds.
When Thor picks up and he's just like, Mr. Stark, how are we to watch Game of Thrones now? How? Like when Ultron takes up the cable. How do I watch Game of Thrones?
That was great. I love
I'm like,
that
Thor,
so
you
much.
live in Game of Thrones. What are you doing? It's good. No, that's a good one. That's a good
that was
one
awesome.
too.
And I like the way they sort of managed to do a crossover with Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
But the way they wrote it in was like they had, because that was in two parts. So at the end, Superman's like, what happened? So he like flies around and reverses time.
Yeah. He's like,
so it's
what
reset
should I
for part
do?
2. I was like, that's really cool. That's like 5 levels of meta jokes there.
I love how like everything blows up and Batman's just still sitting there sipping his coffee like they blew up the world. I like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 one that they did where Gwen dies and so he goes and puts a gun to Batman's head and tells Superman to go reverse time. And Superman's freaking out and Batman's just like, this is so stupid.
They
This is
just
ridiculous.
uploaded their Force Awakens one too. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
I've seen it. It's wonderful. I won't give anything away. It's great. Like it's like some of their ones have been lacking recently, but I really enjoy their Force Awakens one.
Yes. Well, speaking of channels like that animated, let me just give a quick shout out to the guys at Undeleted Scenes, who I got to do the voice of Hux in a video from them, because they're kind of like mini How It Should Have Ended types.
Yeah, I've seen the
skits.
video. It's a good video.
Those guys are really great. So if you haven't had a look yet, go to YouTube and search Undeleted Scenes, and I'm in the one that's about Star Wars. You'll see it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and
Just
you've
wanted to
linked
give
in
a
some of
shout
your videos too. It's really well done. Those guys put in a lot of work, and I'm glad that they're getting some respect out there, some love for their work.
Yeah, I think they tailored the script so that I could make more fun of Kylo Ren, which I was more than happy to do in that skit. I love that line they wrote where it's like, he's like, hey, the Force that teaches that size matters not. And he's like, well, it's too bad they didn't teach you not to be beaten up by a teenage girl.
Yeah, teenage girl. That's a good lie. So that was funny. Okay.
Well, the last one to sort of segue and finish up is, last question was, how do you think the upcoming Deadpool movie will compare to the other large-scale comic book movies, Civil War, Batman v Superman? Well, we'll be able to tell you that better in next week's episode, because by then we should have hopefully both seen Deadpool. Yes. Trey, you'll be able to see it sometime over the weekend.
I will buy a ticket for Zoolander and sneak in if I have to. Which then is a great way to close off our show, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been another great episode of Movie Mania, talking maybe the best movie of all time, absolutely, The Dark Knight, my opinion at least. Bandit, where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as Bandit Incorporated, and they can find you.
They can find me on the YouTubes, Twitters, and Instagrams, all at Trey White or all at Podcast Media. Thank you guys all for watching. Wonderful. Join us back next week when we talk Deadpool. Thank you to Milan Jeftik for the artwork. Special shout out to Fine Brothers, God rest their souls. And thank you all for watching our Movie Maniacs.